Okay, yeah, no, we are live.
Huzzah.
Yeah. Welcome to Podcast One Shot, folks. Fucking phone.
Apparently, Brainstormer is just getting all of the notifications right now.
Yeah, for some
All
reason
of
my phone feels it necessary to also show me the email notification.
them.
I don't
But
know how.
anyway.
Yeah.
Bum 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 bum. Mr. Sandman.
Yeah. So, greeting nerds, welcome to Podcast One Shot, where we cover stuff we couldn't squeeze into the actual podcast of the storm. With me is the petty dabbler of the dark arts, known as the Authenticator, Dalton L. Mortimer.
Yes, hello. Hopefully not as petty or as dark as John Constantine, but we're all fuck ups at the end of the day.
Yeah. I'm your host, the mad/madman with a computer, the brainstormer of pop culture. I hope you got that reference, Dalton.
Yes, I got the attempt at a Madman with a Box reference, but
I had other ideas, but that one seemed more compatible with this.
Hmm.
And I feel like I should be playing the fail noise of Price is Right with that joke I tried to do.
There. Fail noise accomplished.
Yeah. In this one shot, we talk Sandman. Dalton, that was your cue to swoon.
Yes.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, from the look of things, it's going to be more living nightmare and less idealistic dream.
Yeah, well, hold all applause or booing to the end of this podcast. Thank you.
I have so many dream related puns you have no idea. Um, yeah.
I feel like I'm going to be playing a few cricket noises and other noises with your jokes. And they're puns, aren't they?
There's only so many times you get to use dream related puns, and I am going to milk it for all it's worth. God damn it!
Just try not to go overboard.
Okay.
Though I'm sure that's going to be hard to ask. Hard to ask.
It's one of my coping mechanisms. This
Okay. Um,
speaking truthfully here, folks. In case you missed my absolute dressing down and breaking down of Rich Johnston's article where he implicates Sandman in SJW bullshit. Sandman is by far and away my favorite comic, and Dream is my second favorite character in all of comics. So this is something that is very, very close to my heart, and I am very, very protective of it.
I had just recently gotten into it thanks to Dalton pestering me insistently since podcast number 1. Jesus, that feels like a lifetime ago.
It does. It feels both longer ago than you would think, and also shorter ago than you would think. But anyway,
Yeah.
yes,
Right.
I successfully managed to get him into it. I do not think he regrets getting into it, though. Aside from the fact that he now has 9 more volumes and 67 more issues to go, not to
Well,
mention
I'm more. The only thing I really regret is that now you can lore over me that you actually got me into it.
trust me, it will be worth it. It will be worth all of the razzing that I will bequeath onto you for it.
Okay, so I was able to find a few articles. One is from the Mary Sue, but that's for later. It's not by Rachel Leachman,
I
but again, Mary Sue. So. What else?
I would say kill it with fire, but death is too nice for these people, as we've established.
Yeah. Oh, right. Updates. Well, before we move on, uh, podcast of 20 podcast of Storm 20. Still coming out on Sunday and stuff. I think it's gonna be the longest one we might do. Maybe.
Probably.
We might have to actually split it up into two parts. Maybe.
Maybe, but hey, it's a season finale arc, so why
Right.
not do a two-part episode?
Yeah.
Lol.
Okay. So keep in mind these articles are a little old, so may not be the freshest news we got of it. But yeah, Netflix is doing a adaptation of Neil Gaiman's Sandman. Now, that I'm sure if without the information that we had done beforehand with like uh, the Netflix not wanting to take big risks anymore with properties,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Dalton would be jumping up and down in excitement.
Okay, here is the thing though. One, um, aside even from the people that are actually behind the thing, Sandman is a very, very difficult property to do, even at the best of times. And I have my skepticisms as to whether you can do it on a TV budget with TV resources, even without the stuff we're going to go through about who is actually behind the camera, which also doesn't fill me with super amount of hope. Not to mention the casting issues, because basically basically all seven endless need to have one of the greatest actors working today to be done properly. And unfortunately, on a TV budget, you can't just call up the best actors working today and being like, you in this role
Okay.
now.
Actually, that actually is a good thing. Maybe when we're like in our third article, we'll bring up like casting choices. Mostly Dalton will be talking throughout this podcast, this one shot. So I'll provide
Right,
comedy.
because you still have 67 issues worth of story to catch
Yes,
up on, right?
I am a novice. Okay, can't say
Yeah,
virgin now because I already popped my cherry with the first volume.
with Preludes and Nocturne.
Yep, good read by the way. Total recommend.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's probably the nicest way to lose your virginity. But I'm kidding. I'm just sorry. That went a bit far, but uh damn. Crux is even here, I honestly feel like Oh, okay.
It got weird, dude. It really did.
It did.
Yeah, I think I got. Hmm. I'll look at that later. But yeah, this is first one's from Bounty into Comics. So we'll start off a little nice.
Slowly boiling the frog that is us.
Okay. Yeah. So Netflix signs in air quotes, massive financial deal to bring Neil Gaiman's Sandman to TV. Again, this is this is 10 days ago. This article came out 10 days ago.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm closing on something here.
This would have been something we would have talked about last week, but there was so much worth putting in last week's show, and also we felt like it needed its own one shot, so here we
Yeah,
are.
yeah. Plus, we could have done it for podcast 20, but again, that was like it's a special one for us. So
Yeah.
gotta find your workarounds, people. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. So it has a link to another article about Sandman. Never mind. So I might click that and see what's up. Neil Gaiman and Vertigo Comics' beloved Sandman series will reportedly come to Netflix after the streaming service reportedly signed a massive financial deal with Warner Brothers.
Okay, this is somewhat misleading here. Specifically in the original article that I saw in this, and I did read the first one that reported this.
Uh,
It's massive for DC TV, which is to say that it's the most expensive show that DC TV has ever made. The problem there is, of course, that DC TV at least in the live action department, does not tend to put a lot of money into their material. So in order to be massive by DC standard, it really just needs to have a moderate budget. Unfortunately, from everything else we've learned recently about how Netflix is cutting back on budgets, that very much does not fill me with hope.
Well, good thing is that some of the shit shows on there are getting cut funding too.
True, but I think the way they said it in the article that I saw where they talked about Netflix budgets, is that all of the big things they still have going or that are already on there will still maintain their standard. It's just all the new stuff that's gonna get kneecapped. Which bothers me because of course you signed a Sandman series and then you decided to cut your budgets. Are you fucking insane and or kidding me? Because one does not. To quote the Sean Bean meme, one does not simply announce a Sandman series and then decide to be fiscally conscious. That's not how anything works.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, no, it's weird. It's a weird thing to do. It's almost like that comes out almost like injunction with like them signing on for a Sandman project.
Like I almost want to have seen the pitch meeting and listen to somebody go, "Hey guys, you know how we just cast one of the most abstract and visually interesting comic book stories ever written?" Yes, Bob. Well, what if we slash all our budgets and start to be fiscally conscious because we've blown all our money on other stuff? You know what? Brilliant. Ugh.
You know, a part of me feels like they could have, because it is live action, right? It's supposed to be live action.
Yeah.
And I think we had a discussion about this last week, that it would have been better. It would be better as a animation, right?
Yeah, if it were an animated series, I would be a lot less worried.
Yeah,
But also it would be a lot less satisfying because the thing about comics is they're already drawn. So if you know what you're doing, all you really have to do is take what's in the issues and make them move.
oh yeah, we got our first viewer. Balaam29. Good to see you, Dalton.
Hey, Tillium, how's
Tilly.
it going?
Yeah, he actually subscribed to this channel last time I checked.
Yay.
Oh, speaking of subscribers, I just got a funny story. Apparently, Bat in the Sun follows me now.
Hmm.
I think it's because I retweeted something of theirs.
Cool.
Yeah. I find that it's weird though.
Yeah. Anyway, back to the article.
Yeah. Okay. According to a report by The Hollywood Reporter, the drama from Warner Brothers TV will be executive produced by Gaiman. That's good, right?
It worries me that he's only executive producing because uh, funny little thing about Hollywood sort of behind closed doors business things. Oftentimes when they just go to a writer to get ideas, they'll give them an executive producer credit. Like to put it into perspective, they gave Stan Lee an executive producer credit on all of the Marvel movies just because he created the original IP and also cameoed in.
Okay.
So that worries me.
So it would have been better if he was producer, right?
It would have been, but personally, I would have just put him in the writer's chair. I would have put him as the writer. I would have put Guillermo del Toro in as the showrunner, and we would have been off to the races.
Yeah, because I was going to suggest that Neil Gaiman be showrunner, but I don't think he could handle that.
No, nor would he want to because he tried to with Good Omens because it was a personal love letter to Terry Pratchett, who was a very close friend of his and who he wrote the original Good Omens with.
Yeah.
And he only had to do 8 episodes, and it wore him out. So I can understand why he wouldn't want to show run. And I also think that the correct answer for showrunner for a Sandman series would be Guillermo del Toro. Not only because not
You're a
only
fan
because
boy.
Guillermo del Toro is awesome, but also because he and Gaiman know each other and are very close. And also Guillermo del Toro has been a showrunner before on TV series, specifically the
Strain.
huh?
Strain. The Strain. You know, the vampire show on
Yeah. There's that, and there's also 3 animated net shows on Netflix.
Troll Hunters, Tales of Arcadia, Three Below, and damn, what was the last one?
I, yeah, it is 4 because Troll Hunters was the first one. Yeah, but he's the showrunner on all of the Troll Hunter universe stuff. So he could definitely pull off being the showrunner on Sandman, and he and Gaiman get along really well, and their creative sensibilities tie in really well.
Mm-hmm.
So if it were my perfect world and I could have this redone, I would make it so that Gaiman was the writer, Del Toro was the showrunner, and there were no budget restrictions within reason.
Yeah. Okay. The Dark Knight writer David Goyer, who is also attached to the upcoming Hellraiser movie. Fun fact: David Goyer also helped write Man of Steel, BVS, and I believe Justice League.
Yes. And Blade 3 and Ghost Rider Spirit of Vengeance. And
I actually kind of like Spirit of Vengeance. Some scenes.
I like the first Ghost Rider movie better. But regardless, here's my issue. The thing with David Goyer is he's either barely involved in the shit that he gets his name on, or he grounds them. And do you want to know the one quality that Sandman in its purest form should never have?
Grounded.
It's grounding. So this worries me. And and also David Goyer has a very negative attitude towards comic books in general. He kind of considers himself better than them.
Oh, fuck
And
that guy.
that also worries me because he's very well known to be a hack. And hacks should be nowhere near
Right,
Sandman.
so Alan Heinberg will both write and serve as showrunner on the series. Alan Heinberg, why does that name sound familiar?
Wonder Woman. He was the writer on Wonder Woman.
Huh.
Yeah.
I will also check up any other stuff he's done, just out of curiosity.
Grey's
But
Anatomy and he did a couple episodes of Grey's Anatomy and a couple episodes of Sex and the City. That's where he came from before he did Wonder Woman. And here's my concerns about Heinberg, because I do have concerns about him as well. The thing about Wonder Woman is it is quite definitively Patty Jenkins' baby.
mhm.
And part of me feels I can't substantiate this with evidence, but part of me feels like Jenkins did mostly everything, and they just gave the writing credit to Heinberg because he was just kind of there. And that worries me. Unless, and this is a very big unless Alan Heinberg uses the Sandman series in the same way that Gaiman used the Sandman book, which is being a young, hungry artist wanting to make his mark on the world and gives it his all. If he
Heinberg,
managed
Heinberg,
if he manages to do that, we'll be golden, but I don't think so.
will you stop dragging your ass across the floor? It's annoying.
Dogs.
Yeah, my floor is also wooden. There's no carpet.
Dogs.
Lay down. Lay down, dog. Jesus. Lay down. Yeah, that'd be 2. Okay. All right. Well, he's serving as showrunner, so he must. So he's obviously going to be working with Gaiman. Uh,
Again, I have my concerns about to what degree Gaiman is going to be involved.
yeah.
I had heard elsewhere that he's actually going to write the pilot, but I worry because it's only going to be the pilot for some reason.
Okay. The show is currently scheduled for 11 episodes.
I am okay with that number. I would prefer if it were either 8 or 16. Because the thing about Sandman is it works really well in trade paperback form. And in trade paperback form, the numbers oscillated between 8 and 7 episodes each volume. As I'm sure you know, Brainstormer, because you just finished Preludes and Nocturnes. So if I were doing it, either have one season be one volume, in which case 8 episodes, each episode being an issue, or 16 episodes with one season being 2 volumes, and then have it be therefore a total of 5 seasons. That makes a good show. That makes a good run of a show, and also makes sense within the context of the original story. Um, I
Yep.
don't know why it would be 11 episodes unless, and I do have a theory about this, unless they're going to weave some of the stuff um from the spin-offs and the sequel series into the show along with the original volume stuff. That I can get behind. Because there are a lot of really good standalone spin-off stories that could still work within the context of the Sandman show or the main Sandman arc. So if they do that, if they do Preludes, Nocturnes, and then some with the spin-offs, I can get behind that.
Yeah. Netflix's VP of Originals, Channing Dungey. Dungey. Yeah, at first I was going to say Channing Tatum.
Yeah, every time I hear the name Channing, my brain just immediately finishes the sentence with Tatum.
Yeah, like, who the. Why is that even a name? That doesn't make any sense. Whatever. That's something else for another time.
Because actors always need to have eccentric names. It
That,
helps with
that
like
guy's the vice president of originals for Netflix.
well, I mean he's in show business, so he's gonna have weird eccentric names. That's just how that works.
Okay. We're thrilled to partner with the brilliant team that is Neil Gaiman, David S. Goyer, and Alan Heinberg to finally bring Neil's iconic comic book series, The Sandman, to life on screen. Dungy added from its rich characters and storylines to its intricately built-out worlds. We're excited to create an epic original series that dives deep into this multi-layered universe beloved by fans around the world.
Tread very carefully where you are walking right now, Mr. Dungy, because if every episode of this show is not worthy of an Emmy, I will contrive things to do to you that will make what Dr. Destiny did in 24-Hour Diner look like the intro to Cheers.
Sorry. God, I'm having flashbacks to that issue, man. God damn. That was a really fucked up issue.
The sick thing is, it's not even the darkest issue of the series.
Thanks for that. Now I have something to look forward to. I don't feel like he's genuine here. Maybe it's like the way you always put it, corporate speak.
Yeah, it's very much the corporate, the corporate sort of focus group approved spiel with no heart or soul behind it.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can tell when creatives are genuinely excited to work on something because they can't stop babbling about it. That they have the exact same amount of passion as a fan would if, like, for example, if Neil Gaiman walked up to me tomorrow and was like, I want you to be in charge of making a Sandman series, and here are all your resources. I, After I stopped stammering into the void for like 10 minutes, I would be so thrilled that I couldn't stop bitching about it for a week. But this is just, oh, hey, we got this thing called Sandman. Go hype it up because reasons.
Um, for me, I would be very interested in making a either Batman or some probably a Batman movie or a the no, actually, yeah, Batman movie or Teen Titans movie.
I, in terms of like classic vigilante heroes, I probably would go with the Shadow.
Ooh, would you make it like a modern reboot, or would you just have it stay in like the 1940s?
Period piece.
Hmm.
Period piece. I am not the thing of it is, I find that a lot of the atmosphere of a story comes from when you set it, and that's what we mean by a timeless story. We mean a um a story that has its own atmosphere no matter when you set it. But that is very, very hard to do. Incidentally, I do think that Sandman is one of those stories that is timeless. Um, because so much of it revolves around so many different eras and they all fit perfectly well together.
Okay. This news comes 3 years after New Line attempted to bring the Vertigo series to life on the big screen. According to sources, Netflix has made a deal with Warner Brothers to create a television adaptation. However, those plans fell through with multiple screenwriters departing the project, including Eric Heis- Heiser.
Eisner, I think.
No, there's no N in it.
Oh.
Okay, I'm gonna look that up because that name sounds familiar, but I don't.
I know. It's like I know him from somewhere, but words escape me.
Okay. Uh, Writer. Okay, so wrote wrote a he's writing the new Van Helsing movie coming out. Not the Hugh Jackman one, apparently one that's coming
They're
out.
they're they're making another one
Yeah,
or something.
yeah. He also wrote Bird Box, his screenplay. Screenplay for Arrival, Lights Out.
Wait, screenplay for Arrival. That impresses me.
Mhm. He also wrote the 2011 The Thing, like that sequel prequel thing, John Carpenter.
Right, the thing they did in 2007 with John Carpenter's thing. Yeah.
I still need
Uh,
to watch. I still need to watch John Carpenter's The Thing.
yes, you do. Yes, you do. And I am not going to badger you about that because I'm still so stoked that I got you into Sandman. So
Um,
you
he
can
also wrote
escape my badgering for the foreseeable future until you finish Sandman.
this one. This one interests me. He wrote A Nightmare on Elm Street, the 2010 version.
So he actually does appear to have some background in these kind of stories, which would have been. And again, the screenplay for Arrival, that's the impressive bit, because like, wow.
Oh, uncredited in Extinction as a writer. He wrote. He helped write Extinction. Hmm. Okay.
Well, if he was uncredited, that might have been something he wasn't particularly proud of, so fine.
Yeah. Well, again, like this. He stepped out of Sandman, so he's not
Right.
working on.
That would have at the very least been an interesting choice.
Yeah. Okay. Eric, because I can't say his fucking last name, told IO9 back in 2016 that he believed the property needed to be adapted into a TV series.
And again, I've already made clear my concerns with the limitations of TV. Because here's the thing. Yes, American Gods was very successful, particularly season one. Season one was awesome. But American Gods is a much, much smaller story than Sandman is. So there's a lot less at stake. Sandman is Gaiman's magnum opus. It is pretty clearly the best thing he ever wrote. And I know because it was one of the first things he ever wrote, there's going to be a lot of people who disagree with me on that. But I think I I think one of the reasons why Sandman works as well as it does work is because that was when Gaiman was an unknown, when he had absolutely nothing, when he had everything to prove, and he was young and hungry and ready and willing to prove himself. And he poured his heart and soul into that story. I don't know as you can do that kind of story on a TV budget. Maybe if like HBO or Stars was doing it, I could see it working, but look at what Netflix has done to The Witcher. Look at what they did to Death Note. Look at what
Voltron, Legendary Defender.
it was okay. But yeah, Netflix doesn't fill me with hope. Even if this is as good as the Castlevania Netflix anime, or as good as the Dark Crystal looks, the Dark Crystal prequel series, that still is approaching barely adequate. And with a hack like David Goyer and a completely untested quantity with mostly a drama and sitcom background like Heinberg and Gaiman's sort of wishy-washy yes but no involvement, I am very concerned for this show, and I'm very concerned with the idea of doing it as a series in the first place. My solution would have been would have been 6 or 7 movies, each with bits and pieces of the story sort of thrown together. The great thing about the Sandman is because so much of it is flashbacks and flash forwards, you can sort of rearrange things around and move the pieces about a little bit. But you have to have a good solid budget to work with them. And I mean, like you'd have to get someone like I think Peter Jackson could do it. I could see Terry Gilliam doing it, but of course, as we established a couple weeks ago, Terry Gilliam disdains comic book movies, so I guess that's a dead dream now.
Terry Gilliam.
Huh?
I don't remember that guy. I don't. Name sounds familiar, but I can't remember what he did.
He was one of the original writers on Monty Python, and he's famous for doing like really weird movies like Brazil and The Imaginary of Dr. Parnassus, and let me think, what are some other movies?
I didn't know I didn't know he didn't like comic book. Well, I don't really didn't really know that guy.
I think he was on the list of people we covered a while ago, that directors who said they would never work with comic book movies.
I would have to go back to verify that, but I'm not sure if he was one.
I know David Lynch was on there, but I don't know if Terry Gilliam was. I remember hearing something that Terry Gilliam had said about comic book movies, and I know it wasn't positive, but I don't know if we've covered it yet. Anyway, moving on.
Right. Okay. This is from Heis. It's from Eric, not Eric Breen, by the way. Just quote: I had many conversations with Neil Gaiman on this, and I did a lot of work on the feature and came to the conclusion that the best version of this property exists as an HBO series or limited series, not as a feature film, not even as a trilogy. structure of the feature film doesn't mesh with this. So I went back and said, here's the work that I've done. This isn't where it should be. It's good TV. I talked myself out of a job, unquote.
Okay, I have a lot of respect for this person then. Like I said, I have my issues with the idea of doing it as a show, but this shows at the very least that this guy would have had integrity. And that already puts him in a better space than Goyer ever was in my opinion.
So he thinks himself better than comic book writers, yet he writes comic book movies.
Yeah, he basically disdains the fact that he got stuck in this niche. Basically, he
Oh,
hates
that guy.
he hates the fans, and he wishes that the storytelling standards of comic books were better, and that they were less high concept and goofy and stuff.
Fuck him.
So
Just
yeah,
fuck him.
yeah. Also, side note. You might not know this, but I do, of course, and why will become apparent quite soon. Did you know that originally, the script for The Dark Knight that he wrote was supposed to be a Doctor Strange script that he tweaked and exchanged all the Batman stuff for when Christopher Nolan approached him with the idea for a Batman show.
No, I did not.
That's why so much of Batman Begins has to do with him being trained by Ra's al Ghul in like the monastery thing. Because originally that was Strange learning magic from the Ancient One, not Bruce Wayne learning Kung Fu from Ra's al Ghul.
Hmm. Interesting. I actually know. I think you have mentioned this once or twice before.
I probably have. It's one of those, this irks me to no end. Because can you imagine a Doctor Strange movie back in 2005 with the same script as Batman Begins? How awesome that, or a relatively similar script to Batman Begins and a similar budget. How awesome that could have been.
I think Christian Bale would have been cool. I would think. Just imagine like the same cast, I guess.
Yeah, it would have been interesting. Although personally, I would have rather seen Liam Neeson as Doctor Strange, not as the Ancient One,
Hmm.
because Liam Neeson already sort of has that look that Strange has. Anyway, moving on. Complete sidebar for another one of my favorite characters over.
Yeah, it's not. He's not on that list, by the way. Terry. Terry.
Gilliam.
Yeah, he's not on that list.
Okay, it must have been a different article I saw. I'll look it up later and send it to you just to
Yeah.
verify what he said there. But anyway,
While the show has landed at Netflix, The Hollywood Reporter reports the series was initially shopped to HBO. However, they passed on it due to the price of the series. Huh.
this concerns me, but only.
Well, I mean, okay, if I'm thinking, because I'm wondering how long ago this was, because obviously HBO was kind of running it with Game of Thrones.
Yeah,
I put like a whole bunch of fucking money into that thing.
yeah.
So
It would have been less than 3 years ago, so they would have been making a bunch of money with, or they would have been spending a bunch of money on Game of Thrones at the time.
yeah, if they actually had signed on, well, for one thing, I'm pretty sure they'd be making even more money than with Game of Thrones. Maybe.
Yeah. So okay, this actually could be a positive in this series' favor then, if the timing of the budget restriction thing from Netflix is entirely coincidental. If it then it might turn out that the reason why HBO didn't want to do it is because it needs more money than HBO typically wants to spend on this kind of thing, which means that each episode of Sandman might actually cost more than Game of Thrones, which would be a good sign if they know how to use their money correctly. That's the ultimate thing, though. You can blow as much money as you want on something and not actually see it if you don't know how to use money correctly. If you know how to use money correctly, you can get along with a very small budget. I hope that A, this is the case, and B, that they will use their money correctly and not just waste it. I hope.
I want to say that I'm also optimistic, but again, just given our luck and kind of how the world is always against us with this kind of shit, still
Yeah,
optimistic.
but this has been a waking nightmare for me for the last week or so, so I will take the positivity where I can get it at this point.
All right, I'm not gonna try and rain on your parade anymore, but okay. And the price tag appears to be massive. The Hollywood Reporter reports it's the most expensive TV series that DC Entertainment has ever done. That's not saying much because, to be honest, DC TV doesn't really put much into their TV shows.
DC does everything on the cheap. This is the main crux of the issue that I had originally when I heard that they were doing this before I really did much research into who was behind it. There's a difference between actually properly expensive and expensive for a DC show because DC does not put money towards anything they do. DC TV at least does things on the cheap. Look at Legends of Tomorrow. Look at the NBC Constantine show. Look at
I will say though that they do put some good money in this in the cameras because a lot of times it looks good on camera.
yeah, and at the very least, Netflix has proper resources when it comes to stuff like that, so they could get by with a lot just based on that. But the thing is, it's still the fact of look at all of the Arrowverse shows, look at Gotham, look at the NBC Constantine series. They're made for chump change relative to their source material. So even if it ends up looking as good as Doom Patrol, the question is that going to be enough? And this is Sandman, so the burden of proof is quite a lot higher on the part of the people behind the scenes. And I don't think they quite realize just how great that burden of proof is.
Mm-hmm. All right, so the Hollywood Reporter's sources indicate Warner Brothers decided to sell the show to a third party in a bid to bring additional revenue to the company rather than placing it as its forthcoming streaming service. Warner Brothers is currently in negotiations with Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker director J.J. Abrams in a deal that could be upwards of $500 million.
Eh?
I don't I don't really think there's really much to say with that.
Can, can you read that again? I'm not sure I entirely got that.
Okay. The Hollywood Reporter's sources indicate Warner Brothers decided to sell the show to a third party in a bid to bring. I think that's misspelling there.
In a bid to bring.
Yeah.
Bless you.
Thank you. To bring additional revenue to the company rather than placing it as its forthcoming streaming service.
Presumably that as was supposed to be on. Which was the other concern that I had about the Sandman series is if DC was really proud of this, you would think they would put it on their streaming service.
Yeah, and let's be
But if
honest.
they're
Well, I would say Sandman is pretty mature, right?
yeah,
And DC Universe, the streaming service, is doing mature shows. I mean, one is a lot more um, comedic, while the other two, one's an edgy teenager's fantasy, and the other is actually pretty good.
Yeah, one of the best live action comic book adaptations we've ever gotten in the form of Doom Patrol, which would sort of be
I
my
was talking about Swamp Thing.
hmm,
The comedic one was Doom
Doom.
Patrol.
Oh, I thought you meant the upcoming Harley Quinn animated show when you were saying
I don't
comedic.
give a shit about that thing. We're at,
Apparently they're going to be premiering it at Comic-Con. That's the only reason why I even remembered that it existed. Um,
yeah, there's well, Harley Quinn has been oversaturated at this point, and I think we've already made our points clear on how Harley Quinn's kind of being fucked over in a lot of
yeah.
media today. Just that's again topic for another time and one we've covered already. So,
Yeah.
all right. So Sandman.
Yeah. Oh, this was the other point I was gonna make. I'm very, very worried that J.J. Abrams is even peripherally involved with this
Oh no,
because
no, no, no! It's just it just mentions that Warner Brothers is trying to get J.J. Abrams for a deal. I don't think it's
still
part. I don't think it's part of Sandman. I think it's just briefly mentioned.
right. I know, but he is the czar of land. So even if he just winds up funding the thing, that just hmm.
Yeah, he's not. He's actually not a great director.
No, he's a lot like Christopher Nolan without the polish. He can do things technically proficiently, but with absolutely no soul whatsoever.
Yeah, all he does is like remakes and copy and paste shit.
Well, and he doesn't even do a vibrant or impressive version of that. He does generic sci-fi action movie, other generic sci-fi action movie.
Lens
Um,
flares, lens flares.
yeah,
Never forget the lens flares and the shaky cam and the quick cutting and
and the stupid twist to the universe that makes no sense when you even spend 5 seconds thinking about it. Which, if he does that to Sandman, I will. There aren't even words for the awful things I'm gonna do to him.
well, you are an occultist, so you could do things that other people wouldn't think of.
Okay, so you remember the scene in Preludes and Nocturnes when um the guy finally takes the amulet he got from Chironzan off, and all the spells that Roderick Burgess had been casting on him all those years built up to make his head explode.
Um, I don't remember that part. Fuck, I don't remember that.
Hmm. Well, yeah, that's about how I would like to go about it. Unfortunately,
Oh,
uh,
okay, now I remember it. Now I remember it.
yeah, he made a bargain with Chironzin to get an amulet that would protect him from magic because he knew Roderick Burgess would try to curse him. And then when he finally took it off, it was just like all the curses came back at once and an explosion.
Right. Okay.
That's roughly what I would like to do, but a curse that powerful would probably A, require the death of something, and B, curses have a tendency of coming back to you with this thing called the rule of three, which means that basically all of the energy you send out comes back to you threefold. And I
Yeah,
it,
when I was thinking of something you could do with like kind of a cult, with the occult knowledge you have, a part of me kind of thought it would involve bugs. I don't know why.
well, I mean, hallucinations are relatively easy to conjure, but
No,
again,
I'm talking like actual bugs for some reason. Like send a
well,
swarm of bugs to
the,
them.
that gets a bit hairy. If you actually want to control like animals and shit, that's some pretty high level magic that I think might be beyond my might be a bit above my pay grade there.
Okay.
not saying I wouldn't do it because it's relatively as simple as summoning up something else that can do
You
it
know what
and
would be
then borrowing their energy, but still
you
it'd
know
be a
what
pain.
would be like a magical irony for J.J. Abrams? You have him
Have
trapped.
have him be blinded by one of his own lens flares.
No, you have him trapped in like this kind of rectangular room, and he has to kind of escape one every time, but every time it keeps getting smaller and smaller and smaller, and he's still trying to go, and it's kind of like the mystery box, I guess, the one he always likes to do with his stories.
In terms of ironic punishments for J.J. Abrams, I think I'd rather have him die of shock from like spontaneously seeing one of his own lens flares. That seems like a more fitting and straightforward punishment that wouldn't take me 20 years to conjure.
Okay,
Because
so
that kind of what you described there would at least require a fuck ton of illusion work, or it would require creating a pocket dimension, making him fall asleep, and trapping his soul in that pocket dimension for the rest of eternity.
okay, this guy dark.
And that's well, you plunge the depths of what was magically possible. So now I'm having to actually think to myself, how would I go about creating something like that if I wanted to? So
You know,
yeah.
I can kind of see why people would burn and hang witches back in the olden days.
Well, the thing of it is, number one, magic is something that anyone can do, and number two, just because you can do something doesn't mean you're going to. You can shoot yourself in the foot 100,000 times, but that doesn't mean you want to. Just
Well, it
because,
depends on the person.
well, I mean, masochists are going to be a thing, but masochists don't tend to survive studying magic for very long because either their mind snaps and they get massive, they get psychologically warped to the degree that they basically go insane, and then
Like those followers of Slanesh from Warhammer.
yeah, kind of like that. Um, or or they get very cocky and end up recklessly endangering themselves because they think they're immortal.
Okay, all right. Okay, so we went on actually a pretty fun tangent, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, back to this article. We're nearly done with it. Gaiman's Sandman featured art by Sam Keith, Mike Dridgenberg, Jill Thompson, Sean McManus, Mark Himp, Himple, and Michael Zulli. Okay, I wasn't sure if I was saying those names right.
Yeah, you got it. You got it right. It's yeah, you got it fine mostly.
Okay. The original series was 75 issues long and ran from 1989 to 1996. Huh. 75 issues in 19. Hmm. Kind of
It,
weird.
it it was a monthly, so 12 issues a year.
Okay. The series followed Dream of the Endless. Okay, so it's really just giving you this background information on the thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the first one. Wasn't a lot in there. Yeah.
Yeah, I assume though that that was probably written right after the original announcement. So
Yeah.
that's
Okay.
fair.
So I don't know. Have we covered? So the next article is from Inverse. I don't think we've covered anything from Inverse before.
I don't think we've ever covered anything from Inverse yet.
But Inverse kind of like also uh, I want to say SJW website, but
I don't know. It probably is just because there is that that bias usually in these kind of blog things, but
Yeah, it is. I would say almost every news website that involves geekery nowadays does, like prime ones.
because everyone with a journalism degree basically gets indoctrinated with this shit.
Yeah,
It's part of
you know what's funny? I took journalism in, I believe it was sophomore year. I kind of had to take it as like an elective.
yeah.
Wasn't bad actually. It was pretty cool class. We were talking about journalism, integrity, all that, the standard stuff you learn. And I think,
Yeah, in college journalism courses, you tend to basically unlearn all that shit
yeah,
because there are two competing theories about what a journalist is supposed to do. One is the straightforward one of uh, keeping power in check and portraying truth as much as possible, and the other one is basically you're supposed to um, let your editorial beliefs run away with you and or be a stenographer to whatever the authorities say.
right. My thing is,
And unfortunately, modern journalism has very much gone into the second option there.
yeah, I've said this a few times. I said this to a friend of mine back in high school. Um, News itself is biased because it's run by people, and people are biased.
Yeah. But you as a person, therefore, in my opinion at least, have an obligation to minimize that as much as possible.
Right. You're not wrong.
Whereas the other option is since humans have biases anyway, let's just print all the bias shit we want and never put ourselves in check because what does it all matter anyway? And
I wish I,
unfortunately
wish I, had,
they prize the second option. So
I wish I had that video up of, you're a fucking idiot.
yeah.
But yeah, that's maybe some other time. Okay. So
I love that the image of Dream shushing came up right as you said that because it felt really like he was yeah no sire, we weren't talking about you. You are not a fucking idiot. Please don't curse us with unending nightmares.
he can do that.
Did you not do you not remember what he did to
Right. Right. Okay. Again, dude, I read this like a week ago. My mind's kind of blanking on it now. My stuff will come to me when I do start to reminisce. But
yeah, he's the embodiment of all dreams and creativity. So he is as responsible for every waking nightmare that you have as he is for every blissful wet dream that you have. He's dream
to
itself.
be fair, I don't really think I dream a lot.
You don't remember them. Every human dreams. It's part of one of the side effects of REM sleep. If you don't experience REM sleep on a regular enough basis, you go mad.
Well, the thing is, though, is like I close my eyes and then I wake up. That's kind of how it feels for me.
Yeah, you just don't remember. You don't lucid dream. That's what they call it when you're conscious of the fact that you're dreaming.
I mean, there have been moments when I have, mostly in nightmares.
Yeah.
But okay, moving on. I feel like every time I disclose something on these podcasts about myself, it makes me seem like I'm more interesting than I actually think I am.
Which might lead to two things. Option one, you're making yourself appear less interesting than you are. Option two, you're more interesting than you think you are. As your friend, I tend to think it's probably the second option.
It might be the latter because I think I've actually led a pretty colorful life.
Yeah.
Just in the moment, I don't think it's really interesting.
Which is probably a good thing because self-awareness is a virtue and narcissism is annoying as fuck. So yay for appropriate levels of self-doubt. Self-doubt for the win.
Right. Okay. So honestly, I don't think this article itself is SJW-ish because I think it's letting us know what the stuff is going on with the Sandman series.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
Well,
what to know about Neil Gaiman's Sandman set to shake Netflix up soon?
well, if it's anything like the comic that inspired it, a shakeup is certainly in the works. Yes.
Sweet dreams are made of this. Ah, I get that reference.
Uh,
It's a good song though. I like the song.
It is, but now it's stuck in my head, and goddamn you, when it comes to Dream, I prefer the same song that John Constantine prefers, which is Mr. Sandman.
But which version?
Of Mr. Sandman.
Yeah.
Um, Usually when I listen to it, it's the original version that was all women, but obviously because of my particular proclivities, when I am feeling romantic, I try to seek out a male version because, yeah.
Yeah. There's actually one I could send to you later. Of one, it's actually really good.
Hmm.
Kind of poppy, kind of.
Hmm.
Okay, Neil Gaiman's foothold in television just got a little more secure when, on July 1st, Netflix confirmed his Vertigo comic series Sandman would be developed into a series. According to the Hollywood Reporter, oh, so it was Hollywood Reporter who first covered it. That was
Yes, Hollywood Reporter broke the story. Yes,
good for
Hollywood
them.
Reporter did their job and actually reported on Hollywood.
Good for
Yay!
them. Good for them.
Yes.
But we have covered some of their articles in the past, and they're kind of shit. So it's a mixed bag for us.
Yeah, they're not always on the ball, but they actually do their job from time to time.
Yeah, if we only have more people who actually did their job, it'd be a better world.
It would indeed be, but that's a whole nother barrel of kettles of various fish.
Mm-hmm. I'm sorry. What were you going to say?
Nothing. I was done. I I
Okay.
ended with I ended with my little surrealist epigram of a barrel of monkeys and a kettle of fish. So
Okay.
yeah.
Sandman. Sandman's adaptation for Netflix is part of a massive deal struck between Netflix and Warner Brothers Television. This, in short, is a big win for everyone involved.
But is it a big fan for either the original source material Dream or is it a win for the fans? Those are the only two categories of, or the only three categories of things I care about. Is it a win for the source material? Is it a win for Dream himself? Or is it a win for those of us that give a damn about the source material? Those are the only three that I actually care about it being a win for. And Neil Gaiman potentially, but Neil, I don't think understands quite his own. I don't think he understands his own strength as a writer, so I left him out for that reason.
Okay. In a statement on bringing the story of Sandman to life, Vice President of Originals at Netflix, Jenny Dundee, had this to say: "We're thrilled to partner with the brilliant team that is Neil Gaiman, David S. Goyer, and Alan Heinberg. Finally, bring Neil's iconic comic book series, The Sandman, to life on screen."
I have already made my feelings clear about this. Let's move on.
Right. From its it's the same thing from the previous article we read. Gaiman Sandman comic series for DC Comics in print Vertical Comics follows Dream, aka Morpheus. Wait, Lawrence Fishburne is Dream?
Lawrence Fishburne is named after the Greco-Roman primordial god of dreams, which is a name that Dream occasionally uses in the book because he is supposed to be every incarnation of dreams. Therefore, he is all gods of dream. So when he's around things from the Greco-Roman mythos, they call him Morpheus because that's the name they know him by.
I just wanted to bring up the fact that, and I think I brought this up last week, like off stream, Don. Isn't Sandman kind of Like the design of Sandman looked kind of like Neil Gaiman.
Yes, and I do think it is at least somewhat intentional, but I don't think it's entirely literal, so I don't really pay that much attention to it.
I just wanted to point that out.
Plus, if you've ever actually listened to Gaiman read Dream's dialogue, it becomes very evident that he is not meant to be him because he kind of, as much as I love Neil Gaiman, he kind of sucks at reading his own stuff sometimes.
I probably would too. Okay, a godlike being known for influencing dreams. The series' long and winding journey through Dream's life and adventures show how he and other gods evolve, connect, and change over time. You're the expert on Sandman, Dalton. Can you confirm this?
Um, okay. I have a bit of an issue with you calling him godlike because he's not a god. He is the endless are a level above gods. They are not beings who preside over their concepts, they are their concepts. As in, if you removed dream from the universe, people can't dream. And that is why, when he was bound for 70 years, people stopped being able to sleep and dream properly. Sometimes with my sleep issues, I wonder if somebody's done it again. Because fuck you. And yeah, so the endless are actually a level above gods. The only people they're subserving it to within the DC multiverse are the Presence, who is basically the DC universe's version of God, and Michael and Lucifer, the two archangels. And that's only because the DC writers pandered to Christians way back when, and they kind of are stuck with it now.
Fun fact: Lucifer is kind of designed to look like David Bowie.
Yes.
You know, to be fair, I haven't listened to a lot of David Bowie's music. Only like a few, like "Man Who Sold the World," "Heroes," and my favorite, I guess the most popular of his songs, "Space Odyssey," "Space Oddity," not Odyssey, Oddity.
My favorite is Starman.
Oh, I should probably check that out.
Yes.
But yeah, David Bowie was awesome, and God rest his soul.
Yes.
Right. It's been a long, long journey getting Sandman to the screen. That is true, and it's sure to confirm.
Yes. It has been a very long time, but to their credit, this has mostly been because every time someone has tried to adapt it in the past, they all realized they couldn't do it justice and decided not to. Uh, it is, in my opinion, that this is the correct choice in this instance, because if you're going to screw it up, please don't bother. This is what this is probably this is in the top 5 greatest stories that comics as a medium have ever told, and it's one of the few comic books that I would put up there with classic literature. Like, if it were up to me, this would be the the comic book equivalent of William Shakespeare. So, by all means, if you don't think you can do it right, please don't try because you will make us all.
See, that's ironic because I know that they do involve Shakespeare.
Yes, yes, they do. Though you would be hard pressed to find a thing that they don't at least tangentially involve in Sandman. It is quite a mythologically heavy story, and that's not even getting into some of my theories about it, which we may discuss at some other time.
Probably during this podcast, we might.
Yeah, I'm sure it will come up at some point, but let's not derail much further and continue with the thing.
With the most notable failed attempts happening just a few years ago, but that's all in the past, and now it's full steam ahead into Dreamland.
You Philistines, The term used in the Sandman for the realm of dreams is the
Dreamscape.
dreaming. Please get it right. I know you were being general, but in this case, you have to be very, very conscious of what you're saying because this is a thing.
I feel like at some point you're going to go on a rant, probably during the Manosphere article, but just
Well, I mean, I did almost have an emotional breakdown over Rich Johnston being a fucking idiot, so
okay. Yeah, that is fair. So
it
and
and also
okay, so it wouldn't be a podcast. It wouldn't be one of our podcasts if you at least did not go on a tangent about something.
I am sure it will come up. All it will take is one massive fuck you moment from these people in regards to my favorite comic ever written, and I'm sure I will go
Well, I'm
center stage
hoping
with
you
a
do.
fucking rant.
I'm hoping you do go on a little rant so I can grab some Swiss cubes steak.
Hmm.
It's for
Okay.
dinner and all.
Well, let's continue, and hopefully the rant fodder will come up, and you can get food.
You know, for one thing, the Dreamland thing, I thought it was Dreamscape.
Um, Dreamland is a acceptable term just in general. I just find it obnoxious that they didn't use the appropriate word for the realm of dreams in the actual story, which is the dreaming. Interestingly, though, um, Neil Gaiman got the idea for the dreaming from H.P. Lovecraft, because for those of you that don't know, H.P. Lovecraft did a set of 3 stories that was centered around dreams as well. He called it his dream cycle,
You know,
and
I'm sorry. Please finish that thought, and then I'll ask my question.
the main the main the main one of those being Dream Quest of Unknown Kadath, where um characters went to the realm of dreams, which Lovecraft called the Dreamlands. And now you can go
Okay,
ahead.
I'm sorry. I thought there was more. Felt like you were pausing for a sec.
I would, but I very ironically indeed, I didn't sleep very well last night, so I'm kind of tired.
Same, actually. Okay, but my question would be not my question, but you know, uh, the the first in the first volume of Sandman, H.P. Lovecraft is technically mentioned within it,
Yeah.
because of the helm of Dream is used by it is alluded to that's formerly Cthulhu's head.
Yes. Or at least a Cthulhu-like creature. Yes.
Yeah.
Which Dream butchered because apparently he decided uh one of these Lovecraftian creatures decided to try and take his realm, and for future reference to anyone, you shouldn't attack the Lord of Dreams in the realm of dreams. That's a very, very stupid idea. It's a stupid idea in general because he is a force of nature, but particularly stupid in the goddamn realm of dreams.
Yep. I gotta be honest though, when the cover of the volume, comparing the look of the cover of the volume to the actual art, the cover looks a lot cooler. Like the costume looks a lot cooler.
The art style, like I said last Sunday though, changes throughout the book. So if you don't like a particular art style, don't worry, it'll change in a few issues and it'll
I
be
know.
fine.
It's just my thing is though is like this story. It just feels like it should be kind of like have like a more kind of painted look, like general like Renaissance kind of art style, I guess. Kinda.
Hold that thought for a few issues. Just I'm not going to spoil it, but you may get what you're looking for here in a bit if
But
you stick
I'm sure
with
you
the
get. I'm
story.
sure you. I'm sure you get what I mean. Like it's just. It feels like
one of these days I'll have to actually show you my set of tarot cards that's based on DC Vertigo. Um and the version of Dream in that.
Uh,
Because Dream makes an appearance in that deck as the Hierophant card.
okay, so details are still slim in regards to what exactly is happening with Sandman, but there are some key things we do know. Let's take a look. Uh, I mean that is a fair point because again, like it was announced what the 1st of July.
Yeah, about 2 weeks ago, roughly, was when word first started surfacing seriously.
Yeah,
There's always rumors that somebody somewhere is working on a Sandman thing because everybody loves the Sandman and everyone knows that everybody loves the Sandman. So
right.
yeah,
And if you want a really good Sandman thing, please check out the. There's a fan film based on the issue of 24-Hour Diner on YouTube. It is restricted, age restricted though, so make sure you're at least 18 and over.
yeah, but it is good. And on that note, I you might have seen my tweet about this. I literally tweeted at Netflix and said, "Okay, Netflix, this is your bar. If every episode isn't at least as good as this, you fail."
I don't. I don't think I saw that tweet actually. Huh.
I thought about doing the same thing with the Sound of Her Wings motion comic that I showed you as well, but I didn't end up doing that.
Yeah. Okay. So when will Sandman be released? Sandman has no set release time just yet. Obviously, I mean, there's really been nothing about it for the last little over a week right now. Um,
Well, they are always so cautious about releasing the Sandman. But tish. Meta joke that was also a pun for the win. Because the there we go.
also,
I'm sorry. It
also,
had to be said.
I had to give it to you. That was actually pretty good.
Uh,
All right. Release date will be announced by the end of 2019. Considering Gaiman's cash in television at the moment, Netflix will no doubt be eager to get this series on the fast track.
don't rush, Netflix, for the love of everything holy and everything unholy and everything in between. Do not rush this.
Because from what I've read, and Dalton, he's a super fan or uber fan, I guess.
When it comes to this, yes, most definitely I am.
Yeah. I have to say that I think you would at least take a good year and a half to make this series, filming it and stuff.
Yeah, I would say to take your sweet time. In fact, if it were up to me, you wouldn't even release it in season increments. You'd release it in episode increments, and every episode would basically be a movie in its own right.
Yeah, that's actually they've done that with a few Netflix originals where they release it like every week.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think those shows do well though. Granted, those
No,
shows,
I
it could
wouldn't
be
imagine that they would, but if anything deserved a cinematic
those shows are terrible. The shows that they're doing that are terrible, like not
yeah,
good. No.
yeah. I mean, this is the other thing. Netflix is a complete crapshoot. Sometimes we wind up with things like the Castlevania anime and the Dark Crystal, and sometimes
Right,
we wind up with things like the
right.
Death Note movie.
Yeah, actually, what? Comparing the two, Death Note movies probably worse. Again, I haven't seen it because I wasn't interested in seeing it.
You dodged a bullet.
Yeah, unlike most, I don't really like to follow mob mentality, even with like deconstructing a really bad movie. Mostly because I don't really want to sour my palate with watching something bad.
Have you seen the original Death Note anime
I've
though?
seen a few episodes. I never really got into it. I wasn't interested much.
You might want to give it a look, but like I said, I will stop badgering you about other things as long as there's Sandman related stuff to badger you about. So,
A part of me feels like maybe I should just take my sweet time with getting the Sandman and reading the Sandman, just so you don't badge me on other stuff.
well, also you should take your sweet time because 10 issues or 10 volumes seems like a lot, but trust me, you'll end up blazing through it very quickly. And especially once you get to the best parts, and then it'll feel very hollow once it's all over. Fortunately for you, though, there are many spin-offs that I will be more than happy to shoot your way when it comes time for that.
Okay, so how many episodes will be included in Sandman? We already covered that. 11 episodes for its first season. Series will be likely classified as a drama, meaning each episode will last approximately 1 hour. No episode titles have been announced just yet. No shit. Again, it's like it's been a week, a little over a week right now.
This is a interesting question. What would you want the titles to be?
I kind of feel since it's an adaptation. I don't know. Maybe I feel like it should do some of the titles of the
Issues?
of the issues. Maybe like for the first episodes of the seasons, it should do like the titles of like the volumes of the novel.
Well, I actually think the titles of the volumes should go as the season finale. Um, like for whatever reason, the first thing that popped into my head when I was thinking about what the pilot episode should be called, Witchcross, because the cult meets in Witchcross, England, and they are magic users, and also Witchcross sounds cool, and also Dream gets double crossed in Witchcross, so that it all sort of works on a sort of meta poetic level.
Izzy, this is I know this is from like the first volume. And I like this. I like this. It's just some of the other art in that volume. It's a little too cartoony. I know I just again, it's like
I think it works because Dream is an abstract entity. He is stories, so he would look a little bit unrealistic.
it's. I don't know how to explain this. Like I like this. I like how this looks. It's just like I would say more in like the real world, like the human world. It looks weird that I don't like.
Yeah, I can see that. I think they do it that way to give it sort of a timeless sort of fairy tale vibe, kind of like it was a folk story, or a what do they call them on the internet? Creepypasta.
Yeah, they call them that.
Yeah. Speaking of which, there's a Sandman creepypasta that I found earlier, and I swear to God, the guy who narrated it on this video that I saw sounds exactly like Dream always sounds in my head.
Well, if you
100.
want, you can put that in the chat below, so if people are interested, can you check that out?
I will attempt to do that right now.
Well,
Just
I
give
don't think
me.
I don't think I have a link. I don't think I have like a ban on links or anything because I've linked stuff before.
Okay, so there we go. And to the YouTubes.
Yeah. Okay. So, what is the plot of Sandman? Sandman will follow Dream, also known as Morpheus. Morpheus is a god in control of dreams and part of a group of beings known as Endless.
He's not a god, he's a level above God because he's a force of nature in his own right.
Well, mm, I think they could be inferring that he has the name of the of the god Morpheus.
the god of dreams. But here's the funny thing about the Greco-Roman sort of um worldview, I guess. Um or their mythic structure. A lot of people think that the gods start and end with the Olympians, but in actuality there are multiple levels of god Grek in the Greek mythos. Um
There are
with
like minor gods. There's the Titans. There's
Yeah, above the Olympians are like the most civilized, most human gods there are. Then above them you've got the Titans. Then above them you've got the primordials, who are in themselves forces of nature. And in the Greek pantheon as well, Morpheus is one of those. He's a primordial.
hmm. I
Although
learned all these. I learned all these Roman characters, like all the Roman gods, not Roman gods, but the Greek and stuff like that from Percy Jackson, the book series, not the movies. Those fucking suck.
mhm, yeah.
Uh, that's actually a good book series. That should be a TV series. That should be a TV series.
I remember in high school, my crush really liked the Percy Jackson books.
I got through all. I got like a box set for my birthday for them.
Hmm.
I didn't read the. I lost the third book when I was still reading it, but I was able to finish the others.
Didn't that same author go on to do stories about different pantheons as well?
Yes, I believe so.
Because I remember seeing in a Scholastics magazine that he was doing a series based on
Roman,
no
Norse.
e Egyptian.
Ah,
And the Egyptian gods are the pantheon that I look to most often when I bother with deities. So that's why I was interested.
yeah. Okay, back to this because we went on a little sidebar. Even though the sidebar is pretty interesting and more fun to talk about.
Hmm.
Granted, this is still fun to talk about. It's just again, this is stuff we've kind of already covered.
Yeah.
Other endless include death, desire, destiny, despair, delirium, formerly delight, and destruction, also known as the prodigal.
I am impressed that this person did enough research into the Endless or knows this series well enough to know that Delirium was Delight first.
And I remember watching a video about that when I was watching like the endless.
Was it the Imaginary Axis video?
I believe it was.
That doesn't surprise me.
Good video.
It was a good video. Though my favorite in terms of Sandman related videos here on YouTube is a toss up between the Fractured History of Gaiman Sandman video and the Nerd Writer video on it.
I've seen the Nerd Writer video.
His is probably my favorite because he under I think he understands about how awesome Sandman is, and also the music and the lighting of the video works really well, and he knows enough of the series to do the best sort of shots from the stuff he's talking about.
Yeah. Okay. Sandman will focus on Dream, obviously, but the series might include some origin story elements for his journey, adapting from a single story in the Sandman comics canon for season 1.
Yeah, I think they're gonna do Preludes and Nocturnes mostly for season 1. Which, if they have to extend it out to 11 episodes just to do Preludes and Nocturnes, I'd be fine with that. But I'd much rather see each episode follow one
How many issues are
one
in
issue.
Preludes and Nocturne?
Preludes and Nocturnes was 8 issues. Started with the first issue and ended with The Sound of Her Wings, which is the first introductory episode for Death.
Which would technically be if we were to do that with the finale, then her introduction would be the finale.
Yes, and the thing about Sound of Her Wings is it works really well as a like recap of the events up until that point because Dream explains to her what he's been up to. And that would be a good way of doing a previously on Sandman without actually doing a previously on Sandman.
As previously on, segments are stupid.
Yeah, and it would be especially stupid for Sandman. Mostly because A, he's the living embodiment of stories. If anyone is meta aware, it's him. And number two, if if anything, he should be narrating through a lot of this. I want to see Dream be the narrator. That is a thing I want.
Alright, okay, curious little summary popped up on Sandman IMDb, which could hint at the series plot, but with nothing confirmed from those in the know, it's tough to tell. Summary reads, a wizard attempting to capture death, bargain for eternal life, traps her younger brother Dream instead. Fearful for his safety, the wizard kept him imprisoned in a glass bottle for decades. After his escape, Dream, also known as Morpheus, goes on a quest for his lost object's power. Okay, so basically, yeah, they are doing Preludes and Nocturne.
Which is the right way to go about it for season one, I think.
Yeah, because, I think season one obviously is an introductory season.
And also season one, or rather the first volume ends with Dream saying things like, "There is much to do in my kingdom, but that can wait," and then he walks off into the sunset, which is the perfect way to end an episode as well. Which is why I think they should save Sound of Her Wings for the finale and do a couple of the standalone spin-offs and sort of intersperse them throughout it as well.
Who is in the Sandman cast? Just got announced, nobody can have been cast, rounded up that quickly. I kind of feel like some actors would be flocking to this kind of property, though.
Yeah, you would think that in a business full of artists, there would be plenty of Sandman fans waiting in the wings.
I mean, probably not, but I'm just saying, like,
Well, but no, I mean, this is a story about what it means to be creative, what it means to be an artist in general. So if anywhere is gonna have a fuck ton of Sandman fans, it's gonna be in Hollywood where all the artists go. So
right. Gaiman will. Okay, will Neil Gaiman be involved in Sandman? Gaiman will definitely be involved in Sandman, as Hollywood Reporter noted in their report on Sandman moving forward at Netflix. Gaiman will serve as an executive producer on Sandman alongside David S. Goyer, writer of Batman Begins and Batman v Superman. Gaiman and Goyer will join forces with Wonder Woman scribe Alan Heinberg, tapped to serve as showrunner, an executive producer, and series writer, to write the first 3 episodes of the series too. Oh, that's cool. Didn't know that.
okay, so it's not just the pilot, it's the first 3 episodes. Interesting.
3 out of 11 ain't bad.
True, but I would much just prefer if he were the writer straight up.
At least head
writer. That brings up an interesting thing. I think I know what to call at least a few of the episodes. Of the season if they end up going this route. One of the episodes should definitely be called Ruby. One of the episodes should definitely be called A Game of Reality because of the game he plays with Sharon's in to get his to get his helm back, and one of them should definitely be called Sands of Time, Sands of Dream for when he gets the pouch. Or alternatively, if they want to be more comedic about it, the one where John Constantine shows up could be a good title as well, because that's pretty freaking funny.
Right. Okay, so before we move on to the Mary Sue article about Sandman, I found this one when I was looking at when we were talking about casting.
Yeah.
From a website called Winter is Coming. Well, it's also winteriscoming.net.
Ah.
Netflix is making a Sandman show. Let's dreamcast the endless. Now we'll look through these, and then we'll also maybe give our
Comments on the degree to which they got it right or not.
also because we're fans of both film and comics and of Sandman. We'll give our own guesses and hopes
and opinions as well.
Yeah.
So hit us with your best shot.
Dan Silk. I don't think I'm saying his last name right. So Dan.
Well, Dan, hit us with your best shots.
Okay. To my great delight, Netflix is making a series based on Neil Gaiman's Sandman, an excellent comic book series about the adventures of Morpheus, Lord of Dreams, and his immortal siblings.
He doesn't. Hey, this is going to be one of those things that's difficult to explain and is going to sound really, really sporgy of me, but I'm going to do it anyway.
Let's go.
Yeah. Okay. His name is not Morpheus. Morpheus is just a pseudonym he adopts sometimes when he's dealing with people who would know him better by that name. He has no name other than Dream. He's not a god. He is every single dream that you've ever had, every single nightmare that's ever kept you awake at night, every single bit of inspiration you've ever been struck with when you've been in the middle of writer's block, every single wet dream you've ever been embarrassed by. He is every single dream. He just is. He's not a being, he's a force of nature. Get it right. It's not Morpheus. Morpheus is just a name he uses sometimes when he's around people who would know him better by that name. And interestingly, in Latin, or rather Greek, I forget which, but in one of the original languages that he was called Morpheus, it just means shaper. That's what Morpheus means. It means shaper. Why? Because he was said to be the shaper of dreams. So when they are referring to him as Morpheus in classical Greek texts or classical Roman texts, they are not actually giving him a name. They're just calling him the Shaper, as in the Shaper of Dreams. So even in its original context, Morpheus isn't a name. It's a designation, a title, a function, basically.
Part of me wants to think maybe I'll name if I have a son, I'll name him Morpheus, just because.
You giving him the opportunity to shape his own destiny, as it were.
Well, also because I want to get, like, when I have kids, I want to give them names that make them sound very both regal and just unique.
Yeah, unique names are a very important thing.
But
Dalton is actually not as common a name as you would think. I've been around a while and I've only met like 3 or 4 other Daltons personally, and most
I
of them.
only knew one guy who shared my name, and we didn't even have the same spelling, off by one letter.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Most people who I've met with the name Dalton spell it with a Y instead of an A, which is just weird, but oh well.
Yeah, that is weird. Okay, so moving on. It's a risk. Sandman is dense, abstract, and visually imaginative. Adapting it as a show, particularly a live-action show, will be a huge challenge. But if Netflix pulls it off, they could have something truly special.
You are correct, sir. I will give you points for that.
Part of the trick will be casting. Like any good epic, Sandman has a ton of characters from Rose Walker, an ordinary woman who gets caught up in elemental mysteries, to the Corinthian, a nightmare serial killer with mouths for eyes.
Spoilers
Oh no, I already
for
knew.
you.
I knew about that guy. I just I haven't gotten there yet in reading.
Oh, okay. So yeah. Okay. So yes, fair point. Yes. Casting is going to be a major issue with this, and this is one of the reasons why I'm sort of caught between a rock and a hard place here, because I want to love this more than anything, but the sad fact of the matter is, I don't think there's a person alive who I would find acceptable to play Dream. When I am forced in my weaker moments to pick one, I pick Eddie Redmayne. Eddie Redmayne would be the person I would cast as Dream.
Keanu Reeves.
No, I would rather see him as Destiny.
Well, I think he just kind of has that look of Dream.
Right, but he's a little bit too monotone and he doesn't have quite enough gravity to him. That's more Destiny's speed. Or this would be absolutely genius casting. Cast Keanu Reeves as the Corinthian. Holy fucking shit, yes. Because the Corinthian is basically evil suited John Wick. And that's just fuck. Now that I've seen it, I immediately want that. Keanu Reeves is the Corinthian. Someone make it happen, please.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Well, I will always go with Keanu Reeves with any project because I think one, he really should branch out more from the kind of typecast he's been built around now. Even though he's a versatile actor, I just think he really should be going out. Should really kind of.
Personally, with the kind of work he's been doing lately, I think that Keanu Reeves should be doing exactly what he wants to do and nothing else. Like,
Okay, yeah, that is fair. I'm just saying, like, I would like to see him in the Sandman series, just because I think it would be a good, like a different. It would be. I think it would help him stretch his acting muscles. I think.
it would. I also like the idea of having him as the Corinthian because the Corinthian wears sunglasses and is very understatedly chill. Like he's one of those sharks you wouldn't notice in the water sort of serial killers. The kind that seems very laid back, very casual, very sort of nonchalant, but when he gets you alone,
I
look
would,
out.
I would love to see them do practical effects for the teeth and mouth for eyes thing.
I would also like to see practical effects whenever possible, particularly with the endless themselves. Someone please remember to do makeup on them because they should. This is one of the worries I have. I worry that they would just make them Caucasian, as in white, instead of lunar colored. They're supposed to be as white as the moon, basically, and they're even supposed to have a little bit of a glow to them. So I want that to be done with makeup.
Yeah, you can use that type of makeup that glows a lot well under like black lights or something.
Yeah,
Be very artsy and stuff.
yeah. And
Okay.
I even figured out what makeup artist I would have be the leader of the makeup artist team on Sandman if I had my way. Do you remember a show called Face Off?
Dude, I watched that show religiously when I was a kid.
You remember Glenn Hattrick, one of the judges?
He was like the goth guy, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Also, apparently he has an occult background because I found him on Twitter to at him over Sandman, and apparently he also puts the fact that he's an occultist in his bio. So it's a small world after all.
Yeah.
It's a small world.
Netflix will have a tall mountain to climb, casting for very diverse roles. But for now, let's focus on the endless. The seven being who are kind of gods, kind of embodiments of eternal concepts, and all fun.
Okay, you got that right as well. Well done. Um, fair enough. I will accept that compromise.
Okay, not all of the endless have huge parts in the story, but all are crucial in their own way, and Netflix will need to get them right if it wants to do Gaiman's work justice. If you're reading Netflix, here are some suggestions.
Okay, you've done a lot to endear me to you. Let's see if you can maintain it through these suggestions.
Oh boy,
Oh dear.
you're seeing that, right? Okay. Okay, I will fully admit that I'm stealing this pick from Sci-Fi Wire, but it's just too perfect. Dream, aka Morpheus, is the lead character of Sandman, a dour, severe member of the Endless who takes his responsibility seriously, but who longs for more connection. He's a tortured romantic, a Byronic hero with a long face and distinctive black hair. It's like Adam Driver was born to play this role.
No, 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 no,
Okay,
no.
I would think his voice, but not the actor himself. No offense to Adam Driver, just
Okay, this is just sad. Like you you were doing so well, Dan, but you ruined it. And also you picked probably the worst picture of Dream, and it's not even from the original series, it's from Overture. Why the fuck
that
did
was
you pick?
actually that was posted on Twitter by Nick's on Netflix.
Okay, never mind. Then that person is the person who's a dumbass and picked uh a
Oh, dude,
picture of
you're
him
not gonna
at
like
his worst from the crappy prequel instead of
dude, you're not gonna like what he has to say next.
okay. Well, yeah, no, like I said, even though I don't think a living person could play Dream right now, my original, if you'll pardon the pun, dream casting was Alan Rickman. Um,
Oh yeah, I could totally see Alan Rickman.
Alan Rickman as Dream would be genius. And my second choice, provided they did an animated version or a stop motion version, would have been the voice of Christopher Lee because he has the voice. And that's the
He's
one
also
thing that,
passed, right?
huh?
Christopher Lee is also passed.
Yes, he's also passed,
Fun
and that
fact, actually, Christopher Lee was played metal, like heavy metal.
yes.
That's the guy's badass.
He also was Hammer Horror's version of Dracula.
Oh yeah, I remember that. I remember that. Okay, so seriously, Dream is basically Kylo Ren if he were immortal and took the temper tantrums down a few dozen notches.
The horrible things that I would say if I could be bothered to breathe and speak right now would make YouTube immediately pull this entire channel down. You do not, under any circumstances whatso goddamn ever, have any sort of leeway to put Kylo Ren and Dream in the same universe, let alone the same sentence. Fuck you to the deepest depths of the inferno and be stabbed with bones of sharpened fucking lizards for the rest of eternity. Thank you very much with that.
It also helps that Driver is a name and a very big one in Hollywood at the moment. If Netflix wants to cast all unknowns for this project, I'd be fine with it. But if it feels like it needs a big name star at the front, Driver is the perfect choice.
You know what? I don't entirely agree with the choice that Gaiman put forward himself, but it's better than this one.
Oh, what did you
So,
put forward?
someone somewhere said that he wanted um Tom Hiddleston at three.
Uh, I guess I can kind of see it.
My problem is he doesn't have the brooding. He doesn't have the quiet, soulful pondering and brooding down. And something that I have learned over the many years of being a fan of this. Quiet, brooding, ponderous dream is best dream.
For me, I feel like for all the endless and stuff, you have to have actors that can emote physically more than verbally and stuff.
Yes.
That their acting has to be physical and stuff. So I don't know.
And you need someone who is weird enough that they're going to hold your attention every time they're on screen.
Another thing is, I think maybe should have actors that have a theater background.
Oh my goodness, yes. If there was ever a thing that called for Shakespearean trained actor, it's definitely this. Because um to put it simply, that becomes important later.
I know what you're talking about, dude.
No, I'm just saying for the sake of anyone else who might not know that might be watching this.
Please go read the Sandman series, people. It is good.
You just sounded like me when you said that. I approve. I approve wholeheartedly.
Okay,
That was
so
adorable.
next is death. You know what? I know you're probably not gonna like an idea, but this is an actor who has theater training and I think can emote physically. Though you don't like him from his past work, a, a specific past work.
Okay.
Benedict Cumberbatch.
Okay. I can see why they would cast him as that, but until he at least proves himself able to do Doctor Strange properly, there's no way on earth I'm gonna let him near Dream. Because
Fuck.
both Strange and Dream require a level of emotional depth and gravitas that Benedict Cumberbatch has not managed. But the thing of it is, Strange requires less gravitas than Dream does. So if he success if Doctor Strange 2 comes out and he wows me with the gravitas, then maybe I will consider it. But until that day, he should be nowhere near Dream.
Macy Williams as Death.
Okay, I will. Okay, I need to explain my feelings about
Well,
this.
okay. Well, let me just.
Read the thing, yeah.
Well,
Go
no,
ahead.
I was gonna just based on this. I was gonna say Death is the older sister to Dream, right?
Yeah,
But again, I would also have to argue the point that Death can seem, they can make themselves look whatever they want,
yeah,
So
because they're forces of nature, not beings, so they
I,
can.
I don't know. I just feel like, in a way, they should at least look the same age, kind of.
The thing about the endless is because A, death is one of them, and B, because they are forces of nature, they're kind of eternally young. Like, what what even is the concept of dreams aging
Well,
or death aging?
from the comic, I kind of saw them as kind of like mid-20s to early 30s, kind of.
Yeah, that's about where I would put them too.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Um, Delirium, they do vary in age. Like the younger Endless do tend to look younger. For example, Delirium, I always picture like between 18 and 21 is how old she's supposed to be. Um, but on that note, I actually wouldn't mind Massey Williams as Delirium. I don't think she could play Death though.
Yeah.
Because Death has to be has to be light and bubbly and
Well, actually,
whimsical.
Macy Williams in real life is, personality-wise, probably close to Death as you described her now.
Well, but she's more like that in a cutesy way, which is more delirium than death. Um,
But I'm
although 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 I will say that my personal casting for death would have been Eva Green.
Eva Green. I don't.
Miss Peregrine and Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children.
I've seen her before. I can't remember anything.
Morgan Le Fay in a Starz series of Camelot. Angelique in the Dark Shadows movie.
Oh, she was in 300. Rise of an Empire.
Yes, she was the sexy villainous one.
Right. Okay, so now I remember who you're talking about. I think she was also. No, I don't think she was in a Marvel movie, but she was in some other type of movie. I can't remember. But yeah, I know who you're talking about. You know, part of me kind of wants to say this, and it might be a little on the nose. Well, okay, let's read his reasoning, I guess.
Okay.
Is this one a bit on the nose? Maybe, but who cares? For 8 seasons, Macy Williams played the death-obsessed Arya Stark on Game of Thrones, bringing an immediacy to the character that made her an instant fan favorite. Okay.
But okay, this is the thing about Death. She doesn't revel in her job. She isn't your stereotypical bloodthirsty Grim Reaper. She is the helping hand that helps you into the next world.
Yeah, we've actually had a discussion on how we kind of think death is, like if it was technically a person.
Yeah.
My thought is it's like someone who is like kind of a blue collar worker, punches in and punches out every day, but can't really punch
Yeah.
out.
Which if that's how you feel, I don't know if I told you this the last time you brought this up, but you would probably really like a show called Dead Like Me. It's a series where Grim Reapers are basically that. They're basically kind of blue collar, the stooges of the cosmic afterlife, basically. But Death is much more Death, despite that she is Death in Sandman, does not um revel in people's death. In fact, in a lot of ways, I think she wishes she didn't have to do it. But she does it because A, she considers it to be a positive thing in a lot of ways, and B, she realizes that if she didn't do it, it would do more harm than good.
Oh yeah, I think you and I can agree that death technically, to quote the ancient one from Doctor Strange. I hope you're okay with that.
Yeah, death is what gives life meaning.
Yep.
Yeah. Come to think of it, Tilda Swinton would not be a bad choice.
Right. I was gonna go with the lady who played Hela, and who also
Kate
played.
Blanchett.
Yeah.
She might be a little too regal. Because
Blanchett or Tilda Swinton.
either of them, but I've seen Tilda Swinton do more whimsical stuff before. I haven't
Yeah.
really seen Kate Blanchett do whimsical. I've seen her do regal in a lot of different ways, but Death isn't really regal. That's kind of Dream's thing. Dream very much is self-serious and enjoys his job and enjoys being regal and respected, and he prefers if things are done by the book. Whereas Death is just sort of like, let's just try and have fun on the way there, shall we? Which, to be fair, if I was to die tomorrow and got to choose which Grim Reaper came to get me, would probably want someone who was a little bit more upbeat. But
Yeah.
that's always been kind of the weird irony of the relationship between Dream and Death. Dream actually acts a lot more like a stereotypical Grim Reaper than she does. And she acts a lot more whimsical and upbeat than he does, despite the fact that he is the embodiment of dreams and she is the embodiment of death.
Well, I think in the job that Death has, I think you have to kind of
have a positive disposition.
yeah. Try to have fun with it. Otherwise, what's the point?
Well, also, I think it's also for the people she helps because she knows that being dead is not a fun thing. So
Yeah,
you
dude,
should at least,
the beat of her wings, that last story, man, like
yeah.
that one scene that really shows how impartial death is. And I think you might not be thinking of which one I'm talking about.
The baby.
Thank you for spoiling that for those who might not have seen it.
Hmm.
But yeah, that was oof.
Is that all there was? Is that all I get? Yes, I'm afraid so.
So yeah. Okay, so I gotta finish this one before we move on. With her talent for playing characters wise beyond their years, she'd be a great fit for Death, a fan favorite member of the Endless who is as all powerful as she is disarmingly approachable.
Okay, but here's the thing. When it comes to wise beyond their years, you're talking about delirium, not death. Um, it even goes into you haven't gotten to this part yet. It's not really a spoiler though. When it comes to they go sort of the madness and genius or two sides of the same coin route with delirium in the sense that she is said to know and understand things that not even Destiny understands. So what you're describing is delirium, not death. Death is to put it another way, the cosmic chill girl. Um, in Sandman.
Yeah. Uh, Dye Williams' hair black, tease it a bit, and give her a '90s goth girl wardrobe, and she's good to go.
Again, no. Even if I accepted your casting choice, the Endless need to wear makeups because they're not white as in Caucasian. They are white as in the color of the moon and milk. So they need makeup to look the part.
Mm-hmm. Dream may be the main character of Sandman, but Death was the breakout star. Williams has some experience with that. Make it happen, Netflix.
Um, Again, my sort of first choice would be Eva Green. Um, as in for a uh TV
Part of me kind
series.
of thinks of maybe the lady who plays Jessica Jones, but I don't know about that because she's been in comedies. I mostly.
Yeah, but is she like lighthearted and whimsical though, really? I don't think I've ever seen her in anything like that. I think I've seen her as a tough girl in a lot of
I've seen,
things, though.
like I said, I've seen her in some comedies. Very few, but
Let's see. Who for Death on a TV budget? Um, have you ever watched The Magicians?
yes, I've seen the first season. Pretty much it.
Do you know the actress who played Katie?
Yeah.
I could see her pulling it off.
What about part of me kind of wants to see the lady who played Margot.
I could see that too. Um,
I don't know about Julia though.
no, Julia's actor looks too posh. Death is not posh. She's like I said, the cosmic chill girl,
Yeah.
which is why she and Dream work so well off each other because he thrives off of this is how things are done. This is how things work. This is my role, and this is my sort of kind of being. Where she's just like I've been around too long and I've found too many things interesting. So, yay, everyone just have fun.
Well, I think this guy is aiming too high for cast members for Netflix, but what is essentially a TV series of Sandman.
Uh-huh.
Destruction, Chris Hemsworth.
No.
Can you elaborate, Dalton?
Okay,
I'll be right back.
despite how he looks, Destruction is not a bro. He's actually probably the second or third wisest of the Endless, behind Destiny and possibly Delirium. Um, when actually no, I think he might actually top Delirium in terms of wisdom, because when she comes to see him in volume 8, I believe, um, he scolds her because she's forgotten the Endless's place in the cosmic order, and he goes on this long diatribe about the cosmic order and why he quit. Um, and that's the thing. Chris Hemsworth is too charming. He's Destruction isn't supposed to be charming. He's supposed to be kind of burdened and depressed, because the reason we can even be around Destruction in the course of the book is because he's not doing his job. He quit. He essentially used himself on himself so that he didn't have to do his role anymore. He basically said, I hate destroying things, fuck it, I'm not doing it anymore. And because he was Destruction, he got away with it, because if he's Destruction, he can destroy his own role. That's the beautiful sort of Zen irony that is Destruction. You want to know who embodies none of these things? Chris goddamn Hemsworth. Why the fuck? He's not a comedic character. He's a burdened, serious character. Why the fuck?
You want to hear his
Ah.
reasoning?
Hmm?
You want to hear the guy's reasoning why he thinks Hemsworth would be a good part?
Go for it. Although you have a hard road ahead of you convincing me, Dan.
And get a root beer and some chicken.
Ah.
We also have grape soda, so. God, I wish Corrupt was here. Should have invited the guy. Okay, Destruction is one of the less seen members of the Endless, and who changes a lot over time. Earlier in the timeline, the story itself skips around mercilessly. He's a boisterous, high-spirited, hard-living entity that immediately reminds me of Chris Hemsworth's performance as Thor in Marvel Cinematic Universe.
You're missing the point. You are missing the point of Destruction. He does that because he feels so bad about doing his job that he tries to cover the pain by filling it with drink and partying and shit. And then he finally decides to stop doing that and quits his job. And as I said, he then becomes one of the wisest of the Endless, to the point that he scolds Delirium for forgetting her place, or the place of the Endless, when she comes looking for him again.
Later on, he spares of his duty to oversee humankind's destructive and creative activities and abandons his post, opting instead to focus on painting and hanging out with his dog.
Yeah, that part is true. He straight up abdicates his role and stops destroying things altogether. There's actually quite a funny thing about that. It's implied. I don't think it's ever stated outright, but it's implied that the reason why the First and Second World Wars happen is because Destruction abdicates. Because they make it very clear that whenever one of the Endless either stops doing their job or is unable to do their job, the aspect that they preside over goes kind of nuts. That's why the shit happens with Dream when he gets bound up. That's why they're all worried about what would have happened if Death had gotten bound. And that's why when Destruction quits, the First and Second World Wars happen, because there's no overseeing force of destruction anymore, so destruction as a force kind of goes willy-nilly.
Hmm.
And as a result, lots of shit gets blown up.
Do you think
And
since Destruction advocated his position, do you think that's because how metahumans came to be?
in the DC universe, I don't know. Um, I do know they make a reference to the First and Second World Wars and how that sort of relates to it, but I don't think they ever tie it into anything DC specific.
Right. It was a question. I thought it was an interesting question.
It would be an interesting concept to explore if they ever got around to it again.
I mean, probably Destiny had something to do with the metahumans, obviously.
Right. Yeah, Destiny and Fate and Chance and all those things are his sort of purview. So yeah, probably.
Right. Okay. So basically, think Thor from Thor combined with Thor from Avengers Endgame. I hate Thor from Avengers Endgame.
Yeah, and no, again, like I said, because it's heavily implied but never stated outright that him quitting cost the world the First and Second World Wars happening, he gets even more depressed because he realizes that by quitting, he actually caused more of himself than he would have if he had just kept doing his job. And he hates doing it. So he gets depressed for a good 50 years. And towards the end there, he kind of becomes a hobo. If you want my personal opinion, in terms of like Hollywood actors, I would cast Jude Law. In terms of like TV actors, I actually have to find the person's name quick.
What's he played? Maybe I know his name.
He played the only thing I remember seeing him in was he played Childreness in the BBC adaptation of Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell.
I don't know. I don't know who that is. Hey, maybe Sean Bean.
That might that or the guy who played Aragon.
No. Because Sean Bean in a series automatically makes a series good.
Yes. To paraphrase the Sean Bean meme, one does not simply cast Sean Bean in any old thing.
Yeah. But all with a bit more self awareness, and you've got destruction. Hemsworth would be perfect.
No. Like I said, for all the sound, for all of the reasons that I've already outlined.
Okay, Hemsworth has the required physical stature too. Destruction already kind of seems like a Norse god, albeit one with red hair. Also acceptable would be Christopher Hiviger, who plays Torment Giantsbane from Game of Thrones. Actually, you know what? I can kind of see that.
That's better casting. That is much, much better casting. I don't know why you led with Chris Hemsworth. Fuck you.
Because he has, I think he has more power to his name nowadays.
Right, but he's a worse fit for the character. Okay,
Okay, so actually, I'm gonna.
Enzo Clienty was the guy I was thinking of.
Do you think you can pull up a picture?
Um, if you look up his name, it should come up.
Give me a second while I open up another window. How do you spell his name?
ENZOC. I think that's an ILENTA.
Yeah, I think I found it. Give me a second. Okay. Copy. This the guy?
You're hang on. Yep.
Okay. He was also on Game of Thrones.
Hmm.
He was like a slaver, I think.
Ah. Yeah, I know him best as Children Ass from Jonathan Fringe Eternal. That's a good series, by the way, if you're ever looking for something to watch. And it's on Netflix. But
Still
you
don't
don't
have
have
Netflix.
Netflix right now. God damn it.
Okay, so the next one is Desire.
This is a very, very difficult one to cast at the best of times. Good luck with that.
All right. Okay. So it's everyone. Right, because desire shapeshifts into what you desire most, right?
Yeah, desire changes depending on who is looking at them.
Interesting.
My solution to that would be to cast two actors as desire. One, um, cast James McAvoy, and two, cast Tatiana Maslany, because both of those actors are capable of playing multiple characters in the same thing.
Right, and again, James McAvoy has theater training,
Yeah,
which is why he was able to play those many characters in Glass and Split.
yeah. Desire isn't quite as necessary to have theater training though, because Desire is kind of the edge lord of the endless.
Right.
He,
Okay. So this is,
they're a bit of a brat, unsurprisingly.
Desire.
Most mostly because they feed more on desire than they do on fulfillment. Meaning that desire will basically troll you with what you want most, but never let you actually have it. Because if you actually get your desire fulfilled, then you're not desiring it anymore, and then desire loses its power.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Desire.
desire and despair are both kind of bitches.
Desire is a juicy part. They're not a villain exactly, but they do like to stir the pot, sometimes with disastrous consequences. Sly and conniving, Desire has a hand in several of the misfortunes that befall Dream, with whom they have a long-standing rivalry.
Uh-huh.
Okay. They also wear a lot of cool outfits and act deliciously wicked. Of all the endless, Desire might be the most fun to play.
Well, the most difficult to play. I don't know if I would call it fun. Unless you want to be a catty, manipulative bitch. And the reason why they argue so much is because they're so similar.
I'll be right back.
And he's attending to his doggos. Dum, 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 dum. Dum, 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 dum. Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, the only solution to get desire or to have desire is to have someone who can play multiple roles, or more likely, multiple people who can play multiple roles. Um, is the best way to go about portraying desire. or someone who is so androgynous that you literally cannot tell whether they are male or female. That would also work. But it would also have to be one of those people who was classically trained. Actually, come to think of it, the guy who plays Elliot on The Magician would probably be a pretty good casting for Desire on the cheap.
I'm back. Just family coming in. Okay. The trick with Desire is getting the look right. They are androgynous, neither man nor woman. Everything to everyone. I think Rooney Mara, with her angular face and long list of impressive acting credits, could pull off the job. This is her. I'm gonna open up a window and look at her credits because I am curious.
Yeah, they would not. Rooney Mara would not be my first choice. My first choice would be, James McAvoy and Tatiana Maslany both playing the role at different points. My second.
How do you spell Tatiana?
Just look up a show called Orphan Black. She should be in the cast list of that.
Okay.
Because she played 6 roles in that. That's one of the reasons why I want her for this.
Right, that was a show about clones, wasn't it?
Yeah, and she played each clone differently. That's one of the reasons I think she could play Desire really well.
Huh. She's the first name to come up.
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, well, like we said earlier, I just think it's because with like the writing I've seen so far from the Sandman, from the first one, I feel like every character for the most part has to have some type of theater.
Yeah, an actor with gravitas and prestige, basically.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so Rooney Mara has played, has been in the Girl with the Dragon Tattoo.
Hello?
I'm here. I'm here. I was.
Oh, reading the filmography.
No, I was eating chicken.
Ah.
If Sandman were being made in the 70s, Desire would be played by David Bowie, but here we are.
Oh my God! I can't believe, I cannot believe I did not think of this.
What, David Bowie playing Desire?
Gillian Anderson.
Gillian Anderson. Damn it! How do I know? Oh, right. Scully.
Yes, but more importantly, in American Gods season 1, she played Media.
Oh, right.
And the funny thing about Media is Media can only manifest itself in the American Gods universe as figures from Media. So in one scene she played Marilyn Monroe, in another scene she played Lucy from I Love Lucy, in another scene she played Judy Garland, and in one scene, very famously, she played David Bowie. So Gillian Anderson as Desire. Thank you very much.
Yeah. All right.
She already has a connection to Neil Gaiman now, so boom. That should be the most done of done deals in the history of ever.
Okay, so next is Despair.
Who could be Despair?
Desire's twin sister, Despair, is an astute, melancholy member of the Endless who takes her work seriously, but rarely seems very happy about it. There's something of the tragic about her. There's something of the tragic about her. Something of the tragedy about her. Seriously, for God's sake. Olivia Colman.
No, it's accurate to say something of the tragic about her. It's just very poetic language.
Olivia Colman.
Why?
Meanwhile, is a splendid actor, fresh off an Oscar win as the melancholy, excitable monarch Queen Anne in The Favorite.
Right, but the thing about despair is despair has to be a little bit, for lack of a better term, ugly. Because she has to be a physical representation of what despair both does to you and feels like.
Okay.
So I would look for plus size actors not just because it fits despair, but also because in pretty much every instance of despair from the book, she is a middle-aged sort of fat-looking woman. So I don't know who I would get for despair.
Neither do I. Because I don't know much about that character, and everything that's been described so far is just meh.
Yeah, no plus size actors spring directly to mind other than Melissa McCarthy, but for the love of fuck, do not cast Melissa McCarthy in this role.
I don't think she's that bad of an actress.
Right, but she's so snarky, and despair is when despair snarks, it's biting. She does not hold back. Despair is savage as fuck and kind of a bitch.
Hmm.
Desire and despair both are kind of fuckwits.
Okay. I can't think of one. I mean, you can also do like bodysuits.
You could, but who then? Who would be a
Oh,
good?
let's read. Let's the rest of it.
Mm-hmm.
She also has a long and impressive history in television and film, and would be more than up to the task of drawing out despair's intelligence and undertow of sadness, while maybe brightening up the edges a bit.
You want to brighten up the edges of despair. Despair. It's it. She's in the. Mm, like I know death is relatively counterintuitive, and dream is a little bit counterintuitive, and delirium can be as much a mad genius as anything else. But despair is one of those endless that is fairly literal when it comes to her designation. You don't want to soften up the edges of despair, especially because despair can be very villainous when it comes to Dream. She does not like her older brother very much at all. And the thing about the younger Endless is they don't have any regard for humanity. They consider themselves better than humanity and better than the beings they inspire. So oftentimes the older Endless have to put them straight and remind them that the beings they serve and the forces that they control are more important than they are. The younger Endless are always fundamentally immature, I guess is what I'm saying. So you don't want to soft the edges of despair. You want the edges to be as pronounced as possible with despair. Because she's a catty bitch, and she kind of needs to be a catty bitch. Still eating, Brainstormer? Do 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 do.
Sorry, I had to you know uh, clean up my plate and stuff.
Right. Okay.
Okay. Last thing he asked. Visually, Desire is a visually distinctive character. Heavy-bodied, fanged, waxy of skin, and always nude. Unless Netflix wants to use extensive special effects to make Coleman look grotesque, it could probably just sand off the more extreme edges of Despair's look.
What again? She is Despair. She needs to be Despair. Like as visually as possible, please. That's the whole point of the. Like, I gave you a lot of credit earlier for understanding what the Sandman was, Dan, but the notion that you appear to be presenting that you can just change Despair so that she's not as Despair worthy is logically incoherent and baffling. No, you can't make Despair any more appealing because her being unappealing is the whole goddamn point. She's Despair.
Right. Okay.
Oh,
So
that's
this one kind of stumped us on who we would cast because we can't think of any characters that like any actors or actresses who could play.
well, there's one that springs to mind, but I don't know if she's still alive, is the thing.
What's her name?
Looking it up now. She played the caseworker in Beetlejuice.
Oh, I think I know who you're talking about.
Beetlejuice.
No. Huh. It's weird. I don't see her on here. I know who you're talking about. I just can't.
Her, the name of the character I believe was Juno.
Sylvia Sidney.
Yeah, she would be a good choice to play Despair. She could really pull off Despair. Also, in a pinch, the woman who played Umbridge in Harry Potter Order of the Phoenix, whose name I also do not remember.
Yeah, well, it's one thing we know that actress can play a character that probably audiences won't like.
It is kind of loathsome, but not in a super over the top way. Yeah.
Okay, so she is dead. Sylvia Sidney. Sylvia Sidney.
That's well, she was pretty old when Mars Attacks came out, and that was in like 1996, so that doesn't surprise me.
Right. Okay. So yeah, I think the second one Dalton mentioned probably might be a good fit. So moving on to Delirium.
This one's much easier. My Hollywood casting for her would be Ivana Lynch, who famously played Luna Lovegood in Harry Potter.
Okay.
But my TV casting for her, if I can remember the actor's name who played this character,
what was the character's name?
it was the second Alice in Once Upon a Time.
Oh. Okay.
Oh, god damn it. Phone, why must you be dumb?
Rose Reynolds.
Yes. She would do really well as Delirium, and so would Ivana Lynch.
Okay, so let's see his, and I think we also said Macy Williams earlier, even though she was casted as
Macy Williams would be like my second or third choice.
Yeah. Delirium will probably be the hardest of the illness to get right.
Yeah,
No.
I don't. She's easy.
Yeah. Despair is the hard one, from what we gathered.
Yeah, because
And also desire. Also desire.
there aren't enough plus size actors in Hollywood that spring to mind off the top of your head to play Despair.
Again,
Aside from maybe
you
Kathy
could do it.
Bates. That's one.
Yeah. Again, you could do fat suit
Yeah.
and stuff, but
But still, she has to be kind of unappealing and undesirable because, for one thing, she's the exact opposite of Desire. That's why she and Desire are twins. And for another thing, because she's supposed to be Despair and she kind of takes her role very, very seriously.
right.
And the only kind of fun that she does allow herself is fucking with people and being kind of a bitch about it.
Mm-hmm.
Because she desires that everyone should. She essentially wants everyone to love her. It is Despair's thing.
Huh.
That's why she likes it when other people experience despair.
That's
Because
like a tragic element, isn't it?
yeah, when she makes people experience despair, she can convince them to love her.
I kind of feel sad for her now.
Yeah.
I mean, she still does sound like an evil bitch, but
She okay, to give you an example of the kind of shit despair does on a regular basis, there is an issue in one of the later volumes where
don't. That is something I don't want to know.
okay, I will save it for when you get there.
All right. Okay. So
But long and short of it is she regularly tempts people into suicide because if she can tempt people into suicide, they remain in her realm forever.
what a bitch.
To be fair, much like the other endless, she's just doing a thing that is herself,
But
but like
it's kind of selfish of her, though.
yeah.
Jesus. Okay. Delirium will probably be the hardest of the endless to get right. No, she's the youngest of the siblings, which shouldn't mean much when all of them have been around since right after the beginning of time. But in Delirium's case, it does. She's the youngest, and she feels like the youngest. With her dreamy eyed stare, multicolored hair, and scattered way of speaking, she comes off as more vulnerable than the rest, more in need of looking after.
See, I don't think this one's hard at all. I just thought of a third choice that would be very, very good. Uh, do you remember Billy Burr from Doctor Who? She played
Yeah,
Rose,
yeah. She was also in Penny Dreadful. She was,
and then she put, huh? Yeah,
yeah, Penny Dreadful.
she would be really good as, yeah, she would be really good as Delirium. Remember when she played the moment and how she kind of played the moment
Yep.
in the 50th
Yeah,
anniversary
yeah,
of
I know.
Doctor Who? Yeah. That's basically how Delirium acts a lot of the time. So yeah,
That was a really good special.
it really was. I liked her a lot more as the moment than I ever did as Rose. I always kind of hated Rose.
Okay, but then there are moments when she draws on an unexpected well of power, even putting destiny in its place on one memorable occasion. She's unpredictable, and it will take a talented actor to do her justice. Again, we came up with like what, four already?
Yeah,
Macy Williams. What were the two you suggested?
if, Ivana Lynch, the one who played Allison Once Upon a
Rose
Time,
Reynolds.
and then Billy Piper.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So probably a British actress.
yeah. In my mind, at least, they're all British.
Of course they are.
Because they're just that old school.
Yeah, I can see it. Okay.
But I, I'll
I thought you were saying something.
no, I kind of trail off. Never mind.
Okay.
Continue.
Sadie Sink, this girl up here. Hey, look, she's a ginger. You don't get to see many of those today.
They're being systematically genocided out of casting calls.
Ginger-sided. God, I wish Corruption was on here. He'd be laughing at
Hashtag,
that joke.
hashtag Ginge will not replace us, apparently.
Yeah. Sadie Sink has been killing it over on Stranger Things for a couple of seasons now. And I think that I haven't watched Stranger Things at all. I mean, like, I watched, like, the first episode, and that was pretty much it. I didn't really care.
You know another good example of someone who could play Delirium. You remember Fen
And,
from the Magicians? Elliot's wife that he gets forced into marrying?
dude, first season, that's all I got.
The knife maker's daughter.
Well, I know that. I don't, there wasn't much of her I saw. So I can't really
In
get.
that season. Fair enough. But she from what I've seen of the later episodes of The Magician, she could play Delirium pretty well. Because she can go a little bit crazy, but she still has that nice whimsical side to her. So yeah,
What about the
what you
lady who plays the new Doctor?
the female one?
What other Doctor would I be talking about?
Okay. No, because I don't think she has the raw whimsy.
Well, yeah. Again,
Most of
I was trying to make a joke, and it obviously fell flat. So,
yeah, no.
we really got to cover that. We got to cover Doctor Who at some point,
Yes, we
right?
do.
Okay, so, yeah. So, I mean, there are probably a lot of good actresses that could play Delirium.
Hmm.
Granted, in Dalton's mind, they're all British. In my mind, I think they could. They could probably. I think Delirium, though, everything I've read and seen of her, like not in the books I've so far, but
Hmm.
like other material and stuff. I think
Hmm.
I think the best thing she would, and since she is the youngest of the endless, right?
Yeah.
I think she would be better as an American act, like an American
Yeah,
act.
she's the one you could get away with doing American, I think.
Mhm.
Um, I had a um, this is a bit of a long shot, and you probably won't remember it, but do you remember a movie called Beastly?
Mm, no, I don't think so.
It was a modern retelling of
Wait, wait.
Beauty and the Beast.
I think I know what you're talking about. Like it's like this model guy. He was a douche to this one lady and got cursed to
Yeah,
like
and she was a witch, so she cursed him. Yeah.
yeah, and he basically had a bunch of tattoos and was bald
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
crap.
the woman who played Kendra, which is the witch's name in that, would be good as Delirium, I think.
Okay, I saw the trailer for that. I didn't really care much for it.
I think that movie is okay. I think the woman who played Kendra is by far and away the best part of it, because she goes full creepy on him, and it works. Which is why I think she'd work as Delirium, and she's very classy looking. So yeah, she could definitely work as Delirium.
Yeah. Okay. The look shouldn't be a problem for her. Finding the character could be tricky, but I have faith she'd do a fine job. Again, he's talking about Sadie Sink here, and she's like,
Hmm.
I think she's like 13 or something, maybe like 16 or 15 or 7. I don't know. Which I
Yeah,
think
I wouldn't cast that young unless they can convincingly play a little older. Like I said, I always figured Delirium was like 16 to 21 would be about where I would put her.
me, if with that age range, I'd say maybe 19 at best.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So moving on to Destiny. We already gave our depiction. Oh, holy shit! I think this is a good one. This is a good one. Okay. Destiny is the older, most cryptic, and littlest seen member of the Endless. He doesn't talk a lot, but when he does, people listen. And when I think of characters like that, my mind immediately goes to Charles Dance's performance as the irreplaceable Tywin Lannister on Game of Thrones. If you want someone who commands authority, accept no substitutes. Like, this is literally the only one he's done that I think I will agree on.
I think he might be a little old for Destiny.
Are you kidding me?
Destiny, at least for me, always hovered somewhere between like late 40s and late 50s in terms of how old he is. Um, and Destiny has to have a amazingly deep, like, bass baritone voice. So in terms of um in terms of movie actors, Lawrence Fishburne or James Earl Jones all the way. In terms of actors from TV,
I don't know. I think Charles Dance would work pretty well, despite his age.
Charles Dance could work if you make him upright. Or John Noble is another one I would accept.
John Noble. Gotta look that up.
He played Denethor in Lord of the Rings, the Steward of Gondor.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Also played Scarecrow in Arkham Knight.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Or I forget this actor's name, but the guy who played Death in Supernatural.
Oh, yeah, I will actually look that up because that is a good one too. But isn't he like American or something?
Is he? Because I certainly didn't hear anything like that when he was playing Death. He pulled off a very convincing British accent. So.
I didn't really hear a British accent. Julian Richings. That's his name, Julian Richings.
Yeah.
Oh, he was also in Man of Steel.
Was he now?
Yeah, I think he was one of the guys of Krypton's council.
Right, probably. Yep.
Yeah.
He also ended up showing up in The Magicians as a demon, but that was after your time. You should. Never mind. I was gonna say you should catch up, but I promised you I would not wanted you to do anything unless until you finish Sandman. So I will
Oh, no,
be a
I will check it out when I can. It's just
I will be a man of my word and not bitch at you for watching anything until or reading anything until you've finished.
so this guy says, yes, I'm realizing I'm going to Game of Thrones. Well, to the Game of Thrones well a lot. This is a Game of Thrones site. What do you want? And that doesn't change the fact that Dance would be perfect.
Oh wait. Speaking of shows on like prestige networks, in McShane, he put he plays Odin in American Gods / Mr. Wednesday.
Yeah.
He would be pretty good as Destiny, I think, too.
Mm. You know, part of me wants to suggest Kid Harington as something, but I can't think which endless he would be.
Kit Harington.
Jon Snow.
I could actually see him as Dream. That would be an interesting. Although I think more the guy who played Littlefinger for Dream would be good.
Oh God, what is his name? He is a good actor, man. I actually rooted for Littlefinger in the end.
Yeah, me too, a little bit. Yep.
I'm a bad person.
No, it just means that you can relate to people who don't always do what other people would define as the right thing, which is totally reasonable.
There was actually a video giving this whole theory that Littlefinger was alive, and the death that had happened was actually because of was actually a faceless person.
Right. I think I remember this theory. Yep.
Yeah. Too bad they didn't capitalize on that because that would have been cool.
Yeah, that might have been cool. Maybe Martin will figure it out in the book.
If he ever finishes those books.
Well, he's only got one left, and he now no longer has to consult for the series, so he has all the time in the world.
Right. Okay. So now we are moving on to the last article by the Mary Sue. I don't really think it's that bad of an article. I think it's just like it's a typical article describing things and what's happened. I don't think it really does any virtue signaling or anything.
Then again, it's also the Mary Sue, so
Okay. Yeah.
don't
Okay.
hold your breath.
All right. Neil Gaiman gave everyone some insight into the Sandman Netflix series by Princess Weeks.
All right, well, proceed.
Okay, I just want to bring up the point. I'm not trying to attack the writer of this article, but it's not like her actual name or.
I think it might be a pen name.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't put it past parents naming a little girl Princess, like the actual name Princess.
True, but I think it is a pen name, and I think it's to emphasize her femininity because she's one of those out and proud feminist types, as her writing for the Mary Sue would indicate. So
Right. Okay. So we already talked about our excitement over the upcoming Sandman television series on Netflix. Part of me wants to click the link they have to that article so we can check it out, but maybe later.
I'd much rather deal with something that Neil Gaiman said. So we'll stick to this
Right.
for now.
Okay. Not only is Netflix opening its checkbook wider than Dr. Lou Saperstein, like a reference.
I I think I got at least part of that reference. I don't know if I got the whole thing.
Yeah. But Gaiman is going to be involved. However, he took to Twitter to clarify some points made in the Variety article. It's official. Here's a Variety article about the Sandman plans, although it's fair to say that it too is filled with errors and seems to think that David Goyer and I wrote a Sandman script that was actually written by the brilliant Jack Thorne. Jack Thorne. Name sounds familiar. Look that up real quick.
Yeah, I don't know where I've heard his name either.
You know, I write Jack TH. Then the second thing down in the search box is Jack the Ripper. So technically, that means that Jack the Ripper is the second most searched thing on Google, right?
Yep. People have their morbid fascinations, even if nobody wants to admit it.
Didn't they discover who Jack the Ripper was?
Yes, I believe they did have a relatively conclusive theory, and they said that he was a doctor who escaped London and committed several crimes in America after Jack the Ripper's time had gone up um, before
Okay,
dying
so
like 2 years later.
so he is a writer. Actually done some acting, producing as well.
What is he famous for having written?
Um, um, I think these are a lot of Actually, a lot of stuff that's kind of in production at the moment. I mean, there's some stuff. Skins, Shameless, like the UK version, UK versions.
My mom really loves that show, so maybe he did something good, but I don't know.
Yeah. Sinbad, 2012 series. Apparently.
Okay, that's not filling me with super amounts of hope.
Well, no, he didn't. He just. That's because Neil Gaiman wrote something on Twitter about like how Variety thought that Jack Thorne wrote script for Sandman. It turns out he's also doing his Dark Materials TV series.
Oh, that should be interesting.
His Dark Materials. Is it that HBO series coming out with Daphne Keane and
Yes, based on a book series.
yeah, and it had like a terrible movie that came out, The Golden Compass, right?
Well, it wasn't terrible, but yes, the Golden Compass movie is the Golden Compass is the first book in the his Dark Materials.
Right. Gaiman, always giving credit where credit is due, clarified that the Sandman movie script was written by Jack Thorne. The Sandman movie script was written by Jack Thorne, the English screenwriter and playwright. Also clarified the first season will be 11 episodes and include content from the first volume of Sandman. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So we were right about like them doing like the first volume.
Okay. Prelude to Nocturne is going to be the first thing, and I assume and hope that they put some of the spin-off material in the other episodes rather than rushing into volume 2 too quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Because the way that it ends with Sound of Her Wings is perfect, and it would be perfect for a TV show as well. Can you imagine the last scene of the last episode of season 1 being like, "There is much to do in my kingdom, but that can wait.
Mm-hmm.
From dreams I conjure a handful of yellow grain, and I hear the sound of wings." Cut to black. Perfect ending for season 1.
Yeah. But don't worry, they won't be trying to put everything into only one season. We're here for multiple Sandman seasons.
Mercifully, yes. They're not going to try to put an episode per volume. That would really horrify me. That would make me despair quite quickly.
Also, Gaiman will co-write the pilot. He's co-writing. Yeah. He's co-writing with David Goyer.
No, he's co-writing with Alan Heinberg. He's co-producing with Goyer.
Oh wait. Okay, never mind then. I just saw that David Goyer was meant, like Neil Gaiman mentioned David Goyer's, but it turns out like the written the movie script together in the past.
Mm-hmm.
It will also be set in modern day, which means updated pop culture references.
That should probably worry me more than it does. But the great thing about the Sandman is even though the actual plot, such as it is, starts in the 80s, because of how often it bebops around time and space and whatnot, it doesn't really feel very 80s. Plus, the fact of it happening in the current year has one great side effect. It fixes something that always bothered me about the original Sandman, which is 88 years, while it is a human lifetime, isn't much longer than a human lifetime. But assuming that they leave it so that he got captured in 1916, like he did originally, this version of Dream has therefore been captured since 1916, and it's now 2019. So he's been captive for more than a century.
Well,
Not just
I would have to think that they released the series around at least 2021, like
Huh?
late 2020, early 2021.
Right. So yeah, he'll have been captured for more than a century, which is a much more profound and weighty number than 70 years.
Right.
Well, 72 years, because he was captured in 1916, came out in 1988, apparently.
My big thing is I'm hoping that it's not going to be as like what with pop culture references. My thing is I hope it's not as like as blatant and like in your face as a lot of references are these days.
I I also really hope not, but then again, pop culture didn't really play a huge part in the original Sandman either. So presumably they'll just adjust the references that are there,
But
which aren't many.
I would just like Easter eggs mostly as references.
I love how much we're both yawning, given that we're talking about Dream of all things.
Yeah, I had trouble sleeping.
Mm-hmm. Dream, if you're listening, it would be absolutely fantastic if you could fix that, given how much we've been white knighting for you
I think
this
I have
entire time.
I think I might have a touch of insomnia.
Mm-hmm.
No, that could also because I end up sleeping a little later than I planned to.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. Okay. Finally, no Good Omens sequel is in the works, and honestly, haven't we learned from Big Little Lies season 2 or The Handmaid's Tale? Why would you want to ruin the perfection?
The Handmaid's Tale was far from perfect just by virtue of the fact that the original was shit. And the fact that you've mentioned Handmaid's Tale in the same arena uh as Sandman really does prove to me that this is a Mary Sue article. I almost forgot for a second.
Uh, that's actually pretty much it for that article.
Hooray! They didn't manage to completely fuck it up. Aside from equating Handmaid's Tale to Sandman, which no immensities of fuck you, my darling, is there. Just
Right.
no.
Um. Huh. I actually made good time on this one. Granted, at one shot.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, those were kind of our thoughts and theories and casting dreams for the Sandman Netflix series that'll be coming out.
Mm-hmm.
Don, you're a more bigger fan than me, so just kind of sum up your thoughts, I guess.
I'm really worried. There's nothing in this new version that suggests to me that it'll be as special as the original comic was. And what's more than that, there's a lot of indicators that suggest to me they're gonna fuck it up. Um, I cling to my hopes and dreams, but Jing. But um, it looks as though this is going to be more in the Master of Nightmares category than Master of Dreams, sadly.
I was all late on punchline,
Mm-hmm.
but I think it stands.
So yeah, I am not in any way thrilled, or I am still looking forward to it because it's a Sandman thing and I can't help but look forward to it. My only request for them, and you'll get this when you get that far, Brainstormer, change the ending.
All right. Um, I guess kind of. I say this a lot with things, but cautiously optimistic I am.
Mm-hmm.
I'll probably check out like the first episode, and if it's good, I'll watch the rest. Obviously.
The good news for you, Brainstormer, is you picked the absolute perfect time to start reading the Sandman comic, because
Yeah.
probably by about the time you finish the series and all of its spin-offs will be when the series comes out.
Yeah.
So you will be able to go in with your eyes open and make judgments accordingly.
Hmm. Um. What else? I don't really feel. Oh, right. I guess kind of we'll be closing out soon. Um. Tomorrow I will be doing a stream, talking about Assassin's Creed. And if Dawn can make it, he'll be on too.
Yeah.
Might ask some other people. I don't know. And Sunday we will be doing our 20th podcast of the Storm, which will be video responses to um, cringe ass stupid videos. Basically, what we do with articles, but with videos. Got some
Yeah.
good ones. Ones that
Because in the so-called critic sphere of YouTube's, there's quite a bit of stupid to be had, and we need to therapeutically sass them. So
yeah. I'll see about get. Obviously, Corrupt will be on that one, hopefully.
yeah,
And I will try and see if I can get some of our previous guests to come on. Night
yep.
Wolf, maybe Nerd Wonder. Hey, if I'm lucky, maybe I'll get Weaponized Nerd Rage on.
I don't know about Nerd Wonder. Remember how she responded to us responding to things last time?
I don't know. I think the videos would be perfect for her.
Yeah, but we said the same thing about the articles, and look what happened there with both her and Tim Lim. And
I think my
writer.
problem was that I entertained her too much. I gotta really rein her in
Mm-hmm.
if I can.
If, but that's a very big if.
Yeah.
I I honestly, if we get anybody back, I would like it to be Nightwolf and Mystery. I think them plus Corrupt would be a perfect way
Right.
of going about it.
But yeah,
Uh,
that those are our plans for the next couple of days. We have some stuff. We already have like some articles stuff to cover next week, and we're pretty much busy for the next couple of days. Now that I
yeah.
look back on it. But yeah, hopefully you guys will uh, enjoy the stuff we have planned. Want to thank you for checking out this one shot. We might have a few others coming up soon. Like one for a video that I don't think we could have covered on podcast number 20. I think Dawn knows which one I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Because of its length. And we might just, and again, we might have to do a two-parter for
Yeah. It might be one of those epic double episode season finales, folks.
yeah. So maybe in all cases we might have to move podcast 21 to 2 weeks from now.
Yeah.
Uh,
Not to mention the shenanigans of Comic-Con coming up. So
right, yeah. So we're gonna be really busy in the next for the next few weeks.
it's a good time to be a content producer, folks.
Yeah, actually. But yeah, thanks for watching. See you tomorrow and Sunday, probably at the same time or so.
Pleasant dreams, folks.
Mm-hmm. See you on the Grand Cosmic Space Highway. And until next time.
Cheers, guys.